were worth waiting for.
Aw, thanks.
Now, I do have a surprise. Just hold on.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
I had to get the show starting off probably one of the best jump scares from Exorcist 3. So once again, horror fans, welcome to the Horror Hangout live stream. Once again, I am the host this week, the Horror Miser, Monty G. And first, we're going to go around from our fearless leader, Sean Patrick Urshan from the Horror Corner. Of course, the usual Jen and Kristen from Jen's Reviews from the Grave.
We are, in fact, the weirdos.
My good friend Trip from Trivia Theater.
Oops, sorry, lost my arms.
Spell gone wrong.
Oh boy!
This isn't body horror. This is exorcism.
Oh man!
And of course, the Irish Prince of Horror, Marty from the Trash Picture Show. Yay! And our lovely guest, it is DeRae from rainbowFRIGHT.
Yay!
Hello, fellas.
So, of course, what we're discussing about this year is obviously because of The Exorcist Believer that came out a couple weeks ago. We decided to go and make the topic about witchcraft and exorcist films, and we come up with some decent topics to go over. But first of all, we want to see, I believe, DeRae and myself and Jen and Kristen, we all have seen The Exorcist Believer. We'll just give a little small synopsis. DeRae, what do you thought about Exorcist Believer?
I mean, personally, I had a good time with it. I liked getting the 2-for-1 deal where we had two girls who were, possessed, and we get both of them in the exorcism at the end. I like the first Exorcist movie, but I've never been a huge super fan of it. I've enjoyed it before many times. But I didn't have a bad taste in my mouth when it was announced that they were going to make this movie. I was, leaving it open for them to be successful. And I think going in there with that open mind let me just kind of enjoy it a bit more than what I'm hearing other people who have had really negative things to say about it. I was just really mesmerized by a lot of the actors in it, like Leslie Odom Jr. and Ann Dowd. The two girls were fantastic. They're super young and just really talented. And it was an interesting and fun story and way to go about it. And, Danny McBride and Gordon Green, what they're doing with horror right now, I don't mind it. I like this little bit of comedy that we're kind of getting, or at least a little bit of levity. But it was a good time for me.
Very cool. Nice.
Yeah. Trev, have you seen Exorcist Believer yet?
I have not made it to that yet, so...
Okay, Jen Christian, I saw your review, so I'm pretty sure you have something interesting to say about Exorcist Believer.
Pazuzu dies tonight. For us, like much like Rainbow Fright, like well, I can't say we. I don't mind The Exorcist. I respect it more than it's one of my all-time favorites. So I think we went in with a little bit more of an open mind. For us, it's not bad, but it's aggressively bland and boring. I was so bored here. And I know a lot of people really like the first half of the movie. I actually had more fun, if I had any fun, in the second half. And I liked Ellen Bernstein coming back. She was the only thing I cared about.
Like I said in our video, I like some of the ideas they played around with. And I've never held The Exorcist in particularly high standing compared to a lot of horror fans. So it doesn't really matter to me, like, oh, they're messing with the formula, they're going to... The original film's still there. I don't really care. They can do whatever they want. It's never been a particularly sacred film for me. So I went in hoping that it might be, especially after hearing all the negative feedback. It's like, maybe I'll end up really liking this movie. I'll be the one weirdo that actually likes this movie.
Or it's so bad it's good.
Yeah, this movie for me is, like you said, aggressively fine. There's nothing I can particularly say that's terrible about the film, but there's very little I can say I really loved or enjoyed about the film either. Like I said in our review, it felt like I was watching the TV edit of the film. It didn't have any like bite or shock value like the original. It wasn't afraid. It felt like it was afraid to be like blasphemous or shocking to the audience, which is one of the major reasons why the original Exorcist is so iconic, is because it didn't pull punches. If you show people the TV edit of The Exorcist before they see the unedited version, they probably won't have as high of an opinion of it as the people who saw it in its uncut version first and foremost. And I felt like I was watching the TV edit for the movie, where even though that's just how the film is, there's no uncut version.
Yeah, but the lead actor was good,
yeah,
and the girls were good.
Yeah, Odom Jr. is phenomenal, really excellent performance, and I didn't mind either of the girls.
It's what we got of the one girl, though. We barely here and there, but
yeah, and I couldn't get invested due to the lack of like any focus or development to the other family. They were all very one note and bland. So like when we get to something towards the end of the film, I didn't really find myself caring all that much, just because we had no build up or really feeling or any development for these people. So I don't care.
Yeah.
But not nearly as bad as most people have been making it out to be. Definitely people are over exaggerating.
It's aggressively fine, people. It's fine. I want a shirt that says, "I'm aggressively fine. Leave me the fuck alone." We need to start a thing, Trip.
And, that actually would make an awesome T-shirt, though.
Fine, damn it.
Fine, damn it.
Let's talk. My people will call your people. We'll do lunch. And aggressively fine. Lunch.
Marty, has Exorcist Believer hit there yet? And you?
It has, but going off, I'm probably going to wait, because I'm a fan of 1 and 3. And I've seen the other ones, and I'm like, you can only do so many movies where girls get possessed by demons and stuff. And I'm not criticizing the movie or criticizing anyone who enjoyed the movie. It's just, as far as the genre goes, it wouldn't be my particular favorite one. My favorite Exorcist movie probably is the third one, because it deviates from the formula.
Marty, if
so
I could
much.
fist bump you, I'd fist bump you.
Yeah, it's
great movie.
Like it wasn't even supposed to be an Exorcist movie, and I think that's why I enjoy it the most. But no, I haven't seen it, Monty, and I'm hearing mixed in, so I'll probably wait till it comes to streaming or something before I check it out.
And just like I said in my review, I thought the movie was good. I love that the fact they had 2 girls in the film. I was disappointed that we didn't get to learn much about Catherine, about her family and the relationship we have with Angela. I thought that should have been a little bit more focused on her character and her family and their relationship, because we really don't know that much about them. And so when we do get to see them possessed, we really don't know, we really know how to feel about them. We just feel about Angela because they're focused on her story more. Leslie Odom was good. I thought he did a fine job as a lead actor. I thought the inclusion of adding Ellen Burstyn made sense story-wise. He went just throwing her in it because he's a legacy character, like they did with Netflix's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was an insult to that character's
yes,
whatchamacallit.
Yeah.
but not to spoil anything. Yeah, just wanted to get everyone's opinion about it since this is what we're doing right now. Now, of course, we have a whole bunch of questions regarding exorcism and witchcraft. I actually want to get started with this first question. I'll give it to our guest, DeRae. What was the first possession exorcist film that you see?
So I've been watching horror movies since I could really remember, since probably out the womb. But I would, in my first few, I can remember, Evil Dead being in that realm. And it's not necessarily an exorcist movie, but it is a bit of a a possessor movie. And I just remember just watching that at my dad's house all the time, and him and I, doing the lines sometimes, and it not really being too scary at the time, but more funny and just fun and gross. And I think in that same world, I would put in Poltergeist, which again isn't necessarily an exorcism movie, but it's kind of got that possessed thing going on where the house is possessed, swallowing people up and things like that. And yeah, both of those movies just kind of were in my repertoire growing up and just were fun, feel good movies for me, and had a sense of familiarity for me, and still does today. So I would say those two.
Good choices.
Okay.
Very good.
Marty, what was your first exorcist horror movie that you see?
Sorry?
I said, what was the first exorcist possession film that you saw?
Okay, so the first one I saw, I can't remember the name of, but it was a weird one. I was actually trying to find the title there because, if someone I told Jen about it and she thought I was making up this movie. A woman gets melanoma on the back of her neck. Turns out to be the spirit of an Indian. He turns into a lizard.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about this.
Okay.
That sounds really awesome.
What is this?
What is this? I'm trying to think.
No. So it basically it's the spirit of a Native American medicine man who comes out in the form of a dwarf kind of demon, and it's weird. A nurse's head is removed, and I'm trying to fucking. Christ, it's one of those things. There's like, did that actually exist? I'm trying to think.
Probably.
Give me 2 seconds.
Well, Kramer
No.
McGee, he said that sounds awesome. Yeah, it does sound awesome.
Give me 1 second, guys. Because I had the name of a fucking written down and I lost it. India. Monty, ask someone else and I'll get back to you with it. Okay.
All right, Trev.
First off, I've got a name for the porn that will inevitably follow The Exorcist Believer. 2 girls, 1 demon.
Oh no.
Now, see, you give Jen ideas.
Damn right I did. So my first, so as growing up, I saw horror, but it was like in the very like PG realm up until I got to college. So my first one was Ghostbusters 2.
Okay.
Because technically, it's kind of Exorcist driven, kind of, sort of, maybe.
Yeah.
No. Driven. Yeah. Anyway.
It makes sense.
But yeah.
Angry Slime, and also Bobby Brown's theme song for
Is
part
better
2.
than Ray Parker Jr.
Hot take.
We'll say that.
No.
Yes,
my
we're on
goodness.
our own.
Ooh.
I like that song.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I can't get enough of Ray. I mean, put it this way: as far as how much influence Ray Parker's Ghostbusters song did than Bobby Brown. Not saying that it's not a bad song. It's just that I can't match the level of influence Ray Parker Jr.'s song, even that's the only song he got hit off of.
It's just a better song to me. I can jam to it a little
I'm
better.
with her.
Man, that cross is starting to smoke a little bit. That take was so hot.
Trim, I was just thinking I could see it like 2 women and a guy goes, I have a crucifix in my pants, baby.
Or like it's a double-ended crucifix.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a double-ended crucifix.
My mind is going places, guys.
You see what we have to deal with here.
The power of bleep bleep compels you.
The power of my dick. Well, no, Exorcist said it. I'd say power of my cock compels you. Yeah.
Give me one of those nights, people.
Oh, man.
The Exorcist did it. It's fine. They had
Oh,
to invest
man.
in it.
Oh, there goes my channel.
Sorry, Monty.
The fact that it's just happening now and Jen being on your channel, that's actually pretty great.
Yes, Horror Coffee. Yeah, it's. I still don't know
wow.
why Universal paid that much money.
Yeah, I mean that's insane.
That's like a Dr. Evil move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you, Marty? Were you referring to the Manitou?
Manitou, that's it. A 400-year-old Native American demon possesses a woman. At first, they think it's a melanoma on her neck. Then they do a scan, and there's this weird fucking midget yolk inside in her throat.
Oh, yeah,
And
because I saw that. When I forgot how young I was when that first came out too. Because I know I
it
remember.
was 78.
I remember
Monty.
Yeah.
It was 1978, and I remember Burgess Meredith was one of
He
the
was in
guys
the
who was brought in to tackle it.
Yeah,
Nice.
because I remember seeing that movie too. Yeah, it was a question of me and my morbid attention. He was cracking up at some of the scenes.
I just thought again it was one of those things because I had to go back and think, did I fucking make this movie up in my head or did it actually fucking exist? Oh yeah, no, the Manitou, that's it. And it was just fucking bonkers. Not a great movie, but
Yeah,
just
not a great movie, but
creepy movie,
it is
like-
crazy. Yeah, DeRae,
I've put it on my list. I've put it on my list.
If you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. Check it out.
Yes.
All right, Sean, what was the first Possession Exorcist film that you see?
The Exorcist. It's one of the first horror movies I ever saw,
Nice.
and as Monty feels, to me it is one of the greatest horror movies of all time, and to me, the genre begins and ends with that film. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I love it's so powerful. The acting and the power of the religious themes make it all the more intense, and the outstanding makeup effects and it's the fact that it's kind of subtle in a lot of ways too. It's never like too over the top, other than like the language and stuff. There's nothing too crazy visually other than Reagan's makeup. But yeah, I love the movie. So.
Very cool.
Excellent.
All right, Jen Christian, what was your first Possession Exorcist film?
Oh, I've been watching horror movies since about 4, so I probably
Back in my day.
back in my day. No, probably like one of the movies, and this might not have been the first. I don't remember when I saw Rosemary's Baby. That kind of has the same feel.
Sort of
yeah.
theme.
But the one that I remember, and I remember your Gramps told me, Jen, really expand your mind and read the book, was Amityville Horror.
Okay.
Because I remember, and the scene where, he's killing his family and stuff, that really got to me. And my dad told me, well, this is based supposedly, and even then it was with skepticism, this is supposed to be based on a true story. And he's like, there's a book, Jen, and that tells a lot more than the movie does. And I remember really, James Brolin? James Brolin gives such a terrifying performance of a man just going mad. And it really kind of opened my eyes to like the parallels between exorcism. Is it a demon or is it madness? Or is it a touch of both? And so I like that. I know it's not exactly an
Possession.
Yeah,
yeah.
it kind of goes with that. But that's the one that always stands out in my mind, particularly James Brolin's performance. Oh my God.
I mean, it makes more sense than my pick. That's great. All y'all mentioned like classic horror films and stuff. Mine's Daffy Duck Quackbusters.
Hey, a classic in its own right.
Oh, yes.
Its own right.
You never can't go wrong with Looney Tunes.
Yeah, I had that on VHS as a kid, and I watched it pretty regularly. And it was just one of those. Looney Tunes pumped a bunch of these out in like the 80s through like the 90s of these really kind of cheap compilations of a bunch of their classic cartoons, and then there might be like one or two new shorts, and they get fucking like chain smoking Mel Blanc to come back into the thing and record stuff, and the audio's always really weird and janky. And yeah, it was just a bunch of collection of like classic Looney Tunes shorts with like horror bends, and then one original short that was Daffy Duck with doing a parody of The Exorcist. It was fun. And that's how I found out about The Exorcist.
Nice.
Mary had a little lamb, but I ate him.
Like I said,
I
you
love that
could never go wrong with Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Now, of course, everyone knows the first possession film I saw was The Exorcist. Being a child of the 70s, I actually saw it in the theater, so I was able to see all the hysteria and all the craziness that everyone was seeing when watching that film. And like I said before, it's we didn't have social media back then, and everyone kept telling everyone else, you got to see this film. You never saw anything like this before. It's just amazing. And when you get there and see it on the screen and actually see all the people freak out about it, that was more of the experience than what I was watching on the screen.
Awesome. Very cool.
That is
Nice.
Yep.
All right, time to change the little script here. This time we're going to go into witchcraft. Witchcraft. And the first question I have for you, I'll give this to Trev since she's got the witch hat on. Is The Craft the best witch horror film?
So I really enjoy The Craft, and it's one of the first witch movies I really enjoyed. It always comes down to that versus The Witches of Eastwick for me. So
Nice.
maybe like very close, like in the running between those two. So I mean, Jack Nicholson or a whole bunch of crazy bitches and someone getting revenge for all the awesome shit. So you tell me.
Good pick.
Yeah.
Okay. DeRae, do you think that The Craft is one of the best witch horror films you ever saw?
Absolutely. It was definitely one that I saw when I was just a small child, and it stuck with me from the very beginning, and I watch it frequently now. And I just loved seeing, the diverse group of friends and, seeing the good and the bad of witchcraft and, Sarah going through her little arc and just the whole story of it is just so much fun. And it is a bit, it does show the real side of being a witch just in the normal world. It's not super supernatural. Yes, some supernatural things do happen, but there was just like this level of realness to it. And they did their research in witchcraft with that movie, and they just did a good job portraying it, making it fun.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that later on. Marty, do you think The Craft is the best witch horror film?
Again, not the biggest fan of the genre, but I would say that it gets some stuff right. But I know people who've watched it as well, and they say it's gotten some stuff wrong as well. It kind of put Wiccan kind of ideals back a wee bit. But again, I'm not an expert in the topic. It's entertaining. It's definitely something that's a byproduct of the 90s, and it's a solid movie. For me, actually, I think that my favorite kind of witchcraft movie, and the witch isn't even the focal point of it, is actually Pumpkinhead, because that comes across as kind of a grim fairy tale, and the witch in it is like freaky. I'm probably deviating. Again, I appreciate the story and stuff, but I just know that some people, while it gets a lot of things right, it gets a few things wrong as well, and kind of stereotyped the kind of wicked culture for a while.
Interesting. Jen, Christian,
You want to do your little spiel now?
Do you want? Well, you're Nancy tonight.
I mean, I guess I am dressed for the occasion. I love The Craft. The Craft is a classic for me. I really, really enjoy that.
It resonates with you.
It resonates with me in a lot of different ways. I've always dug it since I was a kid, and as I've gotten older, I've grown more of an appreciation with it. And I love the thing that really I love about The Craft is it's one of those very few films that has kind of escaped a trap that a lot of films of its ilk kind of got lumped into. It's one of those very rare movies that its main audience was its intended audience was like young teenage girls, and it's a very entirely female-led cast and everything, and has kind of escaped being a movie for teen girls and kind of broken into just being a classic all on its own, regardless of that, because tons of movies about like teen boys and coming of age films of that ilk are championed as like some of the greatest films of all time. Not nearly as much for stories that are from a female perspective and geared towards teen girls. The Craft is one of the very few that's kind of escaped that. And I do also love, like what people have said, I love the fact that it is a little bit Hollywood and fantastical, of course, but due to the fact that Frusa Bulk was a practicing Wiccan, she wanted to get a lot of like the base and core tenets of the faith and of the practice in to be right, and that comes through in the movie, so it gives it a little bit more of a realistic feel. And when the movie starts to become a little bit more fantastical towards its third act, it feels a little bit more organic because we built up to this slowly over the film. It didn't start off right with them casting fireballs or anything. It started out slow and simple, just rituals and stuff.
Light as a feather,
light as a feather is a board.
Yeah.
And we just kind of slowly ramp up into it. As for if it's the best movie about witchcraft, I don't know if I would go that far. Like for maybe just because I love old cinema, but like I love the original Hexen from the 20s. That's like a big favorite of mine. So and even like Robert Eggers' The Witch and stuff are all very good. But it's definitely one of the movies that I would say defines the subgenre of witches and movies about witchcraft and stuff. I think it's definitely probably the most influential film to the subgenre probably ever made.
I can agree with you to a point.
Okay. I know you have a bad history with the film, though.
Okay, so I'll try, and some of you guys have probably heard the story, and I'll apologize, and I'll try to be as brief as I can. But quick little background about little Jen. My mother is a practicing Wiccan, so I've grown up with it around my life. She didn't force it down my throat or anything, but I've seen things. It's been around me all my life. I was a weird kid. Shocker. I was a very weird kid. And in junior high and high school, all the preppy bitches, for lack of a better word, would make fun of me, and they assumed I was a witch just because I had a penchant for wearing black and buckled shoes, which is a fucking fashion thing. I don't care. I thought it was cool then. I still like that. And they made my life a living fucking hell. And then the Craft came out, and all of these fucking little preppy bitches were like, "Oh, we're doing spooky things."
Stop being all goth.
Oh, they all thought being goth was
like,
cool.
oh my God. And I'm like, you guys don't even know the basic tenets of this thing that you say you're fucking experts on. And it just pissed me off. So it's not the Craft's fault. Like, I get it. I didn't love it when it came out, but I respected it. It's just those fucking little bitches just soured it for me. And I'm like, you are not witches. You are not witches. You've seen the movie twice and now you're witches. No.
I was a witch before witches were cool.
Yeah, and like it's cool to like, you know, it did get some people into the whole practicing, but those little snooty bitches.
There were totally those preppy assholes that like did it for that summer and then instantly hopped onto the next trend. But I have heard several people who found and made a big part of their culture, like personality and life after seeing the Craft. That was a big influence. There are those genuine, but there are also a lot of those preppy bitches that you just described.
Yeah, and one of the big tenements, especially that your grandmother taught me, was kindness, and I never saw kindness from any of these bitches. So like it just annoyed the fuck out of me. So like for me, I respect the Craft. For me, I'm like Triv said, I really enjoy the Witches of Eastwick. Daryl Van Horn is a fucking blast, as well as the three main characters. The book is wildly different than the Witches of Eastwick, but it's a lot of fun. But for me, one of the greatest witch movies is a little movie that probably no one's heard of called Spellbinder.
Yes,
and
we just did a review on
that is my witch thing. And when I was a little girl and she's in this coven and she's evil, but you don't know it. And I'm like, I want to be Kelly Preston and lure men to their deaths. I was here for that. It was a vibe. So that's a movie that I really dug. Sorry for going on so long.
Hey, well, obviously you still have anger issues over that, but I can understand.
Just a little bit.
Sean, what are your thoughts about the Craft?
I think it's a good movie, and it is like one of the better recent witchcraft-based movies. I don't know if I'd say it's the greatest ever, but it's well made. I like the idea of be careful what you wish for, kind of thing, when you're messing around with these things that you're not supposed to be playing around with, like when she, cast a spell to make the guy fall in love with her, and then next thing he's obsessed with her, stalking her, and things go crazy. But my personal favorite of all time is Rosemary's Baby. So.
Mhm.
And maybe not necessarily for the way they handle the witchcraft aspect of it, but more for the suspense and the tension and the slow burn build and the psychological aspect of it more than the actual witchcraft stuff.
Okay. As far as what I think about The Craft, I thought it was a very well-made film. They obviously did their research on the Wicca religion, because I talked about this when Gory B Movie was on my channel, and we did a live stream about witchcraft and how it's presented on TV, and she really did it. We had a nice conversation about it, and I thought that was one of the first rare instances that we actually saw witches portrayed in a positive light, even though Nancy's was real crazy.
But she's not purely evil. There's some sympathy.
There's
circumstances.
She's not evil. She's just, unfortunately, when she gets blessed with the power, she unfortunately abuses it.
Yeah.
Goes mad with it, kind of, literally.
Yeah.
But Fairuza Balk did such a great job with that. I don't think you would have gotten that to come across as well had she not been in that role.
No. Absolutely. I don't think the role could have been played by anybody else.
And we will not talk about the so-called sequel.
Hot take. There's stuff I appreciate about Craft Legacy. That movie has loads of issues. David Duchovny's the big one, but I appreciate a lot of what Legacy was trying to do. I'll say it. I think behind Halloween 2018, Craft Legacy is the only other good Legacy sequel we've gotten out of this boom.
Whoa.
I'll say it.
Okay.
Moving on.
That cross burning more now.
I raised you better.
I like Craft Legacy.
Okay. All right, Marty. Other than The Exorcist, what possession Exorcist films do you like?
Oh, there has to be The Taking of Deborah Lorgren.
Yes.
Have you seen that one?
Love it. So good.
Great flick.
It's
such a good take.
It's fantastic because the start of it, you're like, it's the first Exorcist movie. I love the first part of the first Exorcist movie because you're like, is this mental illness or is this demonic possession? And they play with that idea. And a lot of people get put off by the second half of the movie where it does turn out to be kind of supernatural evil. I don't. I like the way it goes a bit Junji Ito. I don't know if any of you guys have ever read any Junji Ito manga where she's trying to devour someone's fucking head. Spoilers. But that's fucking brilliant. So has to be The Taking of Deborah Lorgren. I love that one.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was a good one. I saw that a couple years ago. Yeah, that scene is very, very, very I was like, whoa. Just to let you know, DeRae, she's a gore hound.
Nice.
All right, DeRae, so you're up next. What is your favorite Exorcist possession film other than The Exorcist?
I actually came up with a little list here. So Taking of Deborah Logan was definitely on there. It's one of the best found footage horror films as well as Possession. And then I also have Stir of Echoes from 1999 with Kevin Bacon.
Very underrated horror film, and that film does not get the love that it deserves.
The fingernail scene.
I know. So gut-wrenching. That's just that whole story. And then I also have on here Clown from 2014, where Homeboy puts on a clown suit and it just takes over his body. That was amazing.
And it becomes a demon clown. And that I like that because even though they really don't show it, but they actually show the killing of a child. And I was like, they went there.
Yes. Fucking destroyed. It's great.
I just love the effects on that with like his makeup and him trying to take it off and it just consuming his body. Yeah, so good. And then I had on here Poltergeist, but we already talked about that. So yeah, those three: Clown, Taking of Deborah Logan, and Stir of Echoes.
Cool.
Great pick.
Yeah.
Triv.
So I also had the Taking of Deborah Logan. Fantastic. I didn't expect that to be as good as it was by the cover
Yeah.
art. but that
Everyone
was-
said
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be that good neither.
Oh no, absolutely. It might be kind of a hot take, but Ouija, The Origin of Evil, so the prequel
Sequel's
thing,
good.
The prequel.
I thought it was they go back to the 50s, and I don't know, it was something kind of different and so much better than the original.
Thanks, Mike Flanagan.
No doubt there. Then I had Event Horizon. I know it's not
yes.
a traditional horror movie per se, but it still does sci-fi horror so intensely well. And then one I just actually saw today. It's called Hole in the Ground. It's an Irish movie about
Okay.
a kid that finds
Yes.
a hole in the ground and comes back.
Go back and not
different. And I don't know that it's necessarily a traditional possession movie, but it kind of falls under that umbrella, and it was really quite good. So if you get the chance, I highly suggest it.
Is that
Marty,
an actual Irish
it's-
mythology? Is that an actual Irish mythology there, Marty?
Yeah,
Mhm.
You know it
yeah,
is.
that is. It is proper. It's proper Irish. Christian loves the fucking movie, right, Christian?
That's my favorite movie. It's
Is
my
it is it based off of like fairies, or what is the
yeah,
creature?
yeah. Fae.
Okay.
It's based off.
That's my favorite.
It's based
okay.
off Fae, and like
I thought it was
again,
called a changeling,
love
or
the
is it just called a changeling, or just called a fae?
It depends. There's different creatures that can change their appearance. Like for example, leprechauns have been known to like switch out babies for like their own kind, and fairies have done the same. And it's just it's an interesting movie, and it's something I want more directors to do. Kind of like everyone says, "Oh, Leprechaun's a great Irish horror movie." It's not. You want a good Irish horror movie? You watch Hole in the Ground. You watch The Hallow. You watch You Are Not My Mother. Another one you got to check out as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I saw the one
One
you
of
were.
those movies.
You Are Not My Mother is an amazing film.
I'll agree
That
with
was
you on
good.
those movies.
There's another one I saw, and it's not possession, but The Boys from County Hell. I really enjoyed.
That one's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Like just enjoyable. Kind of like Grabbers, but no, absolutely. I agree. It didn't like specifically focus on like where it was from, but it incorporated all of that great Irish mythology and such. I do have to
Yeah.
ask, was the hole kind of like a fairy door? Or what you would
Yeah.
consider a fairy door?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know they're like fairy ring. There's
Yeah,
fairy
yeah.
rings, and there's certain things. If you go into that, you're essentially fucked. Ironically, Christian actually put me onto another great Irish horror that deals with Irish folklore, but it's also a comedy. It's called Red Caps. I don't know if
Yes!
you've seen it. Yeah, it's really fucking funny. It's
Awesome.
imagine Gremlins if it was done in Ireland. That's
Yep.
the only way I can explain it.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I'll definitely look for it. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
That's kind of all I got. So
Good choices.
Great choices.
Okay, Sean, what's your favorite Exorcist horror movie other than The Exorcist?
Well, I have a couple of them too. Jen mentioned the first movie before, so I'll say the second movie, Amityville 2: The Possession.
That one's good.
That is good.
Not only because it's more based on the actual murders that took place in the house, which is what I found interesting, because it's like, true crime story kind of thing. And then, kind of second half, it delves into Exorcist story, and they do that well too. So, I love when, and it makes sense too that the house possessed him to do it, to kill his family. And then I love how he hears like the voices in his headphones, like, kill them. Oh, like, look at them, they're pathetic.
Yeah.
And another one I actually enjoy is Don't Shoot Me. I like the Pope's Exorcist.
I was wondering if anyone was going to bring that up.
It's crazy. It's over the top. The Pope actually gets possessed at one point.
Russell Crowe.
And
That's
Russell
all you need
Crowe's
to say.
awesome and everything.
as long as he's not singing, I think we're okay.
Around the world.
And One that's just fun and just a great time. Night of the Demons.
Oh,
Good
excellent
Mhm.
choice.
Fun choice.
Okay. All right, Jen, Kristen, your favorite possession horror films other than The Exorcist?
I'm actually surprised no one's brought this up. I'm glad because I get to suck all. But the one I really love is a movie called The Last Exorcism, and the reason why this one really gels with me is because our priest in it, well, not priest, but
he's like a preacher kind of exorcist thing.
Yeah, and he doesn't believe in it. He thinks it's bullshit, but he's not doing it for nefarious reasons. He's going around giving these exorcisms because he thinks it's all about the psychological aspects. These people think they're possessed, so he's going to put on a show for them and heal people, and it's a good thing. But he has totally lost his faith, and they do it as a found footage movie. And this movie has always stuck with me, and I think it's a phenomenal film.
Mhm.
Another one that I'm surprised nobody's mentioned, and this one is a comedy, and it has Linda Blair in it, but fuck,
Repossession.
it's such a good time. Don't want to be and they take every like joke they could from The Exorcist and all those other movies. And what I really like is Ned Beatty and another actress. They basically play Tammy Faye. Yeah, and stuff, Baker, and they're basically just parroting them, and they're such con artists and so smarmy. It's really a fun and good time.
It's a fun movie. Like, it's one of those ones where, like, it's very obviously, like, down to Leslie Nielsen, it's very obviously trying to be, like, capture the naked gun and stuff.
Yes.
But it does it really well. It's honestly really fun, and it's hilarious looking back on that film and seeing, like, two girls getting possessed, a bunch of religions uniting together to stop the possession. I'm like, did David Gordon Green use that as a template for Believer?
And Hello, Mary Lou Prom Night too,
Of
because I
course.
have to.
The best
yeah.
prom night movie.
Mhm.
Yes, like it has absolutely none of the films have anything to do with each other, but it's just such a fun, campy movie that I love from my childhood.
Yeah.
And I don't hate me. I like The Right with Anthony Hopkins,
I
guys.
still never watched that
It's
movie.
one that like it's not great, but there's something about it.
Okay.
I just like it's, but I like it.
Yeah, okay.
Anthony Hopkins' performance is really good. It's pretty standard and basic, but I like it.
Okay. Very cool.
Mhm.
What about you?
Ironically, I also have a short list, and also the Taking of Deborah Logan was also my top pick. Love that movie. That movie is great. I remember watching that film when it first dropped on Netflix one night. Super tired, almost passed out a couple times, and then the bit Marty talked about towards the end with the head, I was like, "Oh, what the fucking shit!" What the hell just happened? Yeah, that movie is excellent. Of course, Exorcist 3, peak movie. My
Yes.
favorite of the franchise, honestly. Love Exorcist 3 to death. Last Exorcism, I also think, is really criminally underappreciated. Another, like, much like Taking a Deborah Logan, really good example of the found footage genre being blended in with the possession and exorcism genre, and it's done incredibly well. But two, I actually really like that I haven't heard anybody else mention. And both of them are not exceptional movies, but I like some of the core ideas and stuff that they tackle. One of them is the movie The Old Ways, which instead of being like a standard like Christian Catholic exorcism, it's based around Mexican folk magic, and I really like what they do and how they utilize it, and actually getting a lot, much like with The Craft, getting a lot of like the traditions and the rituals right, because Hispanic cultures, we live in New Mexico, we have Hispanic heritage, so like a lot that culture was really cool to see get influenced by, and like I was kind of iffy. I was like, because I haven't mentioned, but exorcism movies are my least favorite subgenre in Hall of Horror, so it's very hard for me to really get invested in most of them. But when that movie came out, I was like, okay, I'll see what we got. And then you have like the one-eyed old like bruja coming in as the equivalent of the priest. I was like, okay, this movie's on to something here, and it's cool. I really like it. Another one that it's not a great film, but I love the core idea of it, that being The Possession, which is a story about a Jewish family dealing with a Catholic demon. I think that was a really cool idea, but it's not sadly executed the best, but I think it had some really interesting ideas in it. And it has a fucking Negan from The Walking Dead playing the father in it. He does a good job in it.
Oh yeah, I thought it was the book.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the book. Yeah, it was.
It's a Jewish demon.
It's a Jewish demon. It's called the
demon's
double, not a
Jewish.
Catholic one.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that movie in quite a while. Shit.
Yeah, because I saw that one. It is well.
I like the idea. I like because that's my main issue with the Exorcist genre is it kind of relies on the same stuff over and over again. So I like movies that kind of try and bring in a little bit new angle to it, like the folk magic in the old ways, or bringing in like Jewish culture as opposed to like constantly relying on the Catholic culture that most other exorcism films are based.
I would agree with that. One other one, guys, and I started it today and I didn't finish it, not because lack of time, but it was really good. It's free on Tubi. It's called Godless. It's from Australia, and I was really digging it. And we are dealing with some really religious fanatics in this film, which really creeps me out. But I was really digging it. I didn't finish it yet, but I'm going to finish it tonight. But there's a movie called Godless. It came out this year, and it is free on Tubi. I'd check it out, guys. It was good. I was digging it so far.
Nice.
Okay. One thing, there's one movie nobody's talked about. It's called The Exorcism Emily Rose.
That's a
great one.
Fantastic. Obviously, Ouija, Origin of Evil, The Taking of Deborah Logan. That scene always so creeps me out. that open mouth is like, whoa! I was not expecting that. So I give the people credit for that one, and but I actually prefer the remake, the Amityville Horror, than the original film, mainly because of Ryan Reynolds' performance and the people saying, "Catch him, kill him, catch him, kill him." And
you just love his abs.
No, you might love him, but no.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Duh.
Exactly. DeRae said everything that needs to be said.
All right, Trip, calm down.
Do I have to? Damn it.
Ooh, I love when you do that, Triv. I love when you do that.
Jen, for you.
Some people
was like, Alakazam, make Ryan Reynolds appear.
Yes, exactly. Right here in this seat next to me. Damn it, my magic doesn't work.
Yeah, maybe Danae can run her wob again. Maybe that'll work. Okay, let's see. Next question that we have right here. Oh, this is a good one. I think you are going to love this one, Trib. Other than Shark Exorcist, what is the worst possession exorcist film you've seen? Danae, I don't know if you ever saw a Shark Exorcist.
Oh God!
You don't want to see that.
No, I don't think it's on my list.
Keep it off your list.
It's better for you.
All right, Jen Kristen, what's the worst exorcist horror film that you've seen?
There's a couple. Like again, Christian's more of a trooper. If it's not vibing with me, I'll say "fuck you" movie and turn it off. Christian's more of a trooper. But one movie, and again, this is a thing because I did not finish it. But I remember how I said The Last Exorcism was an amazing movie, and I stand by that. Don't bother with The Last Exorcism 2. I don't know what the fuck happened, but oh my God, I hated that movie so much. It is just
yeah.
And what was the other movie? It made my worst list. I had fun with, and it wasn't.
Pray for the Devil.
It was that he was.
That was the same director as Last Exorcism.
Apparently, the only one he can get right is Last Exorcism because it's the same director. Yeah, Pray for the Devils also came out last year and it was not good. But in a way, if you kind of go in with a looser thing, I laughed. Like I had a little fun with this movie because it was so ridiculous. I found myself laughing in a few places. So it's so bad it's good. That could be a movie that's almost so bad it's good.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. Last Exorcism 2 is my top pick as well. There's nothing I like about that movie.
And we love the director.
It's a total step down from the original film, and it does not feel like it has anything to do with, even though it's following a character from the first film, it just feels completely out of it. But two other ones that I'll just mention briefly. My Best Friend's Exorcism from last year was a shame because it's based off a very good book, but just the comedy didn't work, the budget wasn't there, just a total failure. And one that one that just kind of was like, okay, this is the moment that I'm done with this entire franchise. Conjuring 3, I really hate Conjuring 3 a lot. I've never been a massive Conjuring fan, but that third film just, a lot of stuff about it just kind of pissed me off. And very few movies do, but a lot of that movie's choices just really bugged me.
Yeah, they really did go with the propaganda.
Yeah, that movie felt very propagandic to me.
Yeah.
The devil made him do it.
The devil did, in fact, make me do it. Yes.
Creepy McGree brings up a good point. How could it be the last exorcism part 2? That's a good point.
A fair point. Because the first movie made money.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
but
that's the best thing. The
point.
first movie was a bit successful. That's why there's a part 2. Yeah, because when if you haven't seen it, for those who haven't seen the way the movie ends, it can't be a sequel. And I never saw the second one because everyone just bashed
They
crap
ignore
out
the
of it.
ending. They ignore the ending to the first film completely.
Oh,
It's a bad movie.
I see. All right, DeRae, what's the worst Exorcist possession film you ever saw?
Well, like Christian, exorcism films aren't necessarily my favorite, so I don't watch a whole bunch of them. So the movie I picked was a movie that I actually liked, but like I hear the most crap being talked about it. But it's actually been a long time since I've seen it, which is The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I had a good time with it, but I know a lot of people just have a lot of hate for it because they combine like the true crime elements with this, exorcism thing, and that's not what they're going to an exorcism movie for. But yeah, I can't really say I've seen anything close to something that sounds like Shark Exorcism.
Believe me, there is nothing out there like Shark Exorcist, except I think they are making Shark Exorcist 2.
I heard
The first movie has a weird cult following.
Because you know the main
is the
reason
people
that guy
following
made that
this?
movie is it's a fetish film for people who like watching women having seizures. It's fucking weird.
Okay.
Ketchup blood.
Nutbag. I done a bit of research, and that guy is just an absolute fucking.
That's
weird
not that.
creepo.
That's not that Mark Pallone guy, is it?
No, different person.
No,
Oh,
At least,
no.
yeah.
The different. You can even tell, but with that last scene in the closing credits, it's like really. You're really fucking going there. Jesus
He is.
Christ.
Early
He's
and
just
often.
sitting there stroking it, going, "Yes, I am."
Yeah.
Oh, between that and I think he also has a fetish for shark attacks in less than 6 inches of water.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
But the deep breathing that he does, like whoever I'm guessing he's probably the camera guy too. But the constant breathing you hear in the background of any shot that involves bikinis, yeah, that's all you need to know right there. Oof. Don't watch it with
Usually I'd be
headphones because all I'm gonna say.
Even me, I'm like, I need a plot movie. Like, even me, I need more than what you're giving me.
Each scene has a plot, but unfortunately, it doesn't extend to the entire movie. You get like, The Force Awakens, Rise of, or the Last Jedi, back to Force Awakens. It's like they can't decide on plot. It just, it's freaking decorous.
You gotta start saying that.
Have at it. You could also say we're fucking dickless, but it's not quite as good as
Fuck a duck.
Yeah, that too. I actually have a shirt that says that.
Why am I not surprised?
Is Howard on it?
No,
I was about to say, is Howard the Duck on it?
No, it's just a really shittily drawn duck.
All right, Sean, what's the worst Exorcist horror film you ever saw?
Well, I'll go with the most obvious one, Exorcist 2, The Heretic.
It's not as bad as
I
some
should have
people
prefaced that with
What
other than Exorcist 2.
were they thinking when they made that movie?
Go with one of the Exorcist prequels. That still counts.
You know what? I'll say it. Exorcist 2 is better than both of the prequels. I will say
Amen
it.
to that.
Yeah.
At least Exorcist 2 is watchable and it has stuff going on.
Like Locust?
Yes, and James Earl Jones. That
Oh.
movie's weird as shit, and it's fun to see everyone
It's
who
weird
is
as
very
hell.
obviously on cocaine. Whereas
Plus, you
Exorcist-
get 5 people saying, "I am Pazuzu."
So Exorcist,
see,
the
the
beginning
thing-
and
the thing
Dominion
I
don't
get
have that.
The thing I get with The Exorcist 2 is the goddamn locust that they stick in the middle of the screen and pretend it's flying around. I said that's one of the worst practical effects I've ever seen
Oh,
before.
Monty, I have such sights to show you. That's the, you
Yeah.
think that's the worst
Oh, no.
effect ever laid to film.
Whee! No.
That score too. It drives me insane whenever I try and watch it. Like it's beating you over the head.
No, and the second silly part is that Linda Blair, like she's waving a towel.
She's dancing.
She's got to exercise the demon.
And
like
Louise
Locust.
Fletcher and her fucking
Like
electrodes.
exercise.
Yes. You gotta exercise the demon. Didn't you ever see Ninja 3? You gotta exercise them.
That's a better possession movie.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a special movie.
The domination.
Domination.
All right, Marty, what's the worst one you've seen?
I think it's from 2002, 2003. Terribly, it has potential, and I love Heath Ledger. He was fantastic as the Joker. He's a fantastic actor. God love him. But The Order, I don't know if anyone's ever seen it.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's not
Kind
great.
of remember this
I
It's-
don't
one.
think I've seen it.
It's a paint by numbers fucking exorcism movie, and it's just so fucking dull. It's like
Yeah, it is.
it's like the fucking granola of exorcist movies, and I can't hack it. So that
Keep
one.
fucking numbers, yeah.
The one I'll mention, it was very disappointing. It's a found footage horror film called The Devil Inside.
Mm.
Yeah.
And oh boy, I mean, it's just it's a poorly made horror film, and then the ending make no sense whatsoever.
The Devil and Mrs. Jones.
No,
The classic.
I mean, it has things. Literally.
Oh, it has things, doesn't it?
oh boy.
Real quick, I do have
It's
one
a
more to
classic
add.
of
Oh,
that
sorry.
genre.
It is. It's a classic of its subgenre, man.
Real quick, I do have one other one to add because it is so intensely stupid. Like, you know how there's like 50,000 Amityville ones?
Yes.
Weirdly, the worst one, like, there's possessed like vibrators and, like doll houses and everything else. But the worst horror movie, or the worst possession movie in my estimation, is Amityville 4. Amityville 4. It's like this really stupid, ugly lamp gets possessed.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Evil is
Yep.
loose.
A lamp from the house.
Oh
They
my
set-
god.
Yeah, some homeowner buys a lamp that was in the Amityville house to take it to their house, and then weird shit happens. It's-
Oh yeah. And it's Patty Duke of all people. Like,
yeah, I know.
So
It is the, like, who in the right mind buys that lamp? That's like that eclectic quirky person that's like, ooh, I'm an eclectic quirky person.
I'm like-
I'm gonna buy an eclectic quirky lamp.
I'm like, wait a minute, Patty Duke. Hey, what the world? Are you
Yeah.
that desperate for money?
Exactly. Like the dollhouse one gets weird, but this one takes the cake.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll defend Amityville Vibrator though. That movie's fun.
I'm sure it is.
It
Well,
vibes
that's-
with you.
It is a vibe. That movie is in fact a vibe.
Christian, that
I
movie
don't
can go
doubt
fuck
that.
itself. As far as I'm concerned, okay?
Marty, we're watching that one for my birthday, right?
Yeah.
No, no.
And I will watch
off
that
from
one with you if
first
you
kill.
like. If Marty
Oh.
it doesn't have the good sense to watch a classic piece of film like that, I will watch it with you.
Oh, thank you.
All right, let's lighten the mood up on from that one.
It feels like it's pretty light. I'm feeling pretty
light,
orgasmic, honestly.
I'm feeling tingly myself.
God damn it,
Listen,
shit.
Marty, I feel you, Marty.
Hey, Monty, how can you feel Marty if you're on the other side of the ocean?
Why are you feeling my boyfriend?
Also that.
You're gonna need an old priest and a young priest if you don't leave my man alone.
just
I'm
for
so-
Jen. You have to get your own priest.
That's just a Jen.
I love it a bit, but I'm so glad there's an ocean between us at the moment. Jesus Christ.
Oh man. Oh. Okay. Now,
Hey,
not
Monty, are your glasses all seamed up from that?
Okay, almost forgot the question.
And the
Okay.
priests would be like male strippers, right?
Go, Jen.
Take that.
No,
Take
don't
it
give her any
away.
ideas. Okay, Jen, Christian, which is your favorite witch character from movies or TV?
Definitely Kelly Preston from Spellbinder. Like, she was just such a fucking vibe. Like, beautiful woman. And like, watch the movie because the Church of Scientology doesn't want you to see this movie.
Because it's about her trying to escape a crazy cult.
Yes.
So perish the thoughts.
But the reason she's my favorite witch character is because she has such power over men. When I saw this movie, I'm like, oh, I want to be able to have such power to lead men to their deaths voluntarily. I was like, oh my God, I want this power.
It's pretty good.
And she's such a witchy woman. And you can take a hot turkey out of an oven without mitts and do a prayer and you're cool. It's a fun movie,
It's a
guys.
very fun movie, very fun character.
Also Maleficent.
Okay, I was not expecting you of all people to pull out a Disney movie, but okay.
She's such a vibe for me.
She's so catty.
Yes.
She's the most petty bitch in all of Disney.
She didn't get invited to the party. And I'm not a Disney person, believe it or not, I'm not. But like, she's always been one of my low key. I'm like, I like
You
her.
didn't invite me to the party.
Are
I'm
you,
gonna curse
are
your
you talking
fucking
about
baby.
are you talking about the cartoon or the actual movie, Melissa?
I'm talking about the cartoon. I'm not the biggest Angela
We didn't
Jones
need
fan.
a backstory for her. She was catty and evil. That's all that mattered. You didn't invite her to a party. She's gonna curse your fucking baby. Enough said. We don't need a tragic backstory for her.
Basically,
Love
yeah. So that's mine. But Kelly Preston, like, I wanted to be Kelly Preston witch vibes.
I feel that. I feel that. Having finally seen Spellbinder, yeah, I feel that one.
Yeah.
One. I have two from TV and one from a movie. Obviously. Can't tell from my attire. I love Nancy from The Craft. It might be biased because Fairuza Balk's one of my favorite actors, but I adore everything they did with this character in the movie. Like we said, she is the main antagonist of the story, but there's such a human element. And there's such a tragedy to the character with like her backstory with her.
She's
with her
female Norman Bates for you.
A little bit. Like she has that tragic backstory with her family and stuff, and like her going just kind of power hungry. But like she's still, I feel always end up anytime I watch The Craft, I just kind of feel bad for her by the end when she's in the insane asylum. I'm like, she didn't deserve this fate, honestly. Like she went too far, but I feel like that she never really deserved the fate that she ultimately got. Two characters from TV shows that I am a massive fan of. One being Willow from Buffy. I love the slow burn. As much criticism as you can give to Joss Whedon nowadays, and there's plenty to give to the asshole.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I actually do really like about what he did with Willow is like the slow burn of her, like kind of building out her character over the course of the series. She's the one who I feel like has the most of an arc. She starts out very timid, very shy, very bookish, and then slowly becomes her own, where she's kind of an antagonist for half of a season. And I like the fact that like fans, or when the series was early on, were like constantly trying to like write weird, creepy fanfic or constantly harass her actress, and then he was like, and then Whedon was like, you know what, I'm gonna make her a lesbian just to piss those guys off. Bye, Seth Green, and I'm gonna make her a lesbian and have her have a cool witch girlfriend vibe. And I like that stuff. I actually really like that stuff, and I like later season Buffy has problems, but I liked actually like her storyline when she kind of turns to the dark a little bit after Thorne gets killed. I actually liked a lot of that storyline. And then my favorite witch character in probably anything is actually a fairly recent one, being a character from the Netflix Castlevania anime. I adore this version of Sypha Belnades. I love what they do with her because they include in something that is not typical for a lot of witch things, is bringing in her Romani heritage and bringing in her traveler roots, because she's half Italian, half Romani. And I like that they actually include a lot of that stuff in and bring that into her personality. And I just love her personality and how she bounces off of Alucard and Trevor over the first 3 seasons.
I get that. One more I just thought when you said bouncing, it made me think Susan Sarandon from the Witches of Eastwick this week
That's a
because
good choice.
Daryl Van Horn unleashes her horniness, and I am here for that. I
course
can
you are.
relate to a woman that's like, I am not going to be repressed anymore. Free me, my Irish stud.
Marty,
You got any marching orders.
And he's dead. Okay.
Oh man.
Oh, poor
All
Marty.
right.
He's going to be my Daryl Van Horn.
That's interesting given the ending of the book.
It's easier for another man, but you know, movie, not book.
Yeah.
All right, DeRae, who is your favorite witch on TVs or in or movies?
So I also have just a tiny little list. Nancy's definitely on that list because you do feel for her going through her little story. You can connect with her. And she's just beautiful and amazing and just also very mesmerizing. Another TV witch I loved was Sabrina from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I watched every single episode multiple times. Love Melissa Joan Hart. So that would have to be on there. And then I also, you know, you don't see her, but you feel her. And that would be The Blair Witch. And that's one of my favorite movies now. When I first watched it back in the day, you know, I shit my pants. I was scared because like everybody else, we all thought it was real. And then it came out that it wasn't real. And I was like, okay, well, I just got, punked like everybody else did essentially. So I stayed away from it. But a couple of years ago, I watched it again. I'm like, who cares if it's real or not? Because, I'm not, anyway, it's just who cares if it's real or not? And it was just still a really effective movie. And I just love what the hell these guys did. And she would have to be one of my top 5 witches of all time for sure.
It's a good one.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Triv, who's your favorite witch character from movies or TV?
So all mine are from movies. My first one is actually like one from 1942. It's a Veronica Lake character from this movie called I Married a Witch.
It's fun.
Such a fun movie. Like, it's weirdly provocative for the time. It kind of does what Rope did for like a gay relationship.
Yeah.
Like she was very, even though like her dad kind of leads her along on a lot of stuff, she's a very like outspoken character, and I think she's just such a great time. I absolutely live for her character. I also had Ursula from Little Mermaid, so also
yes. The
Yeah.
best Disney villain.
And even Maleficent?
Yes.
Oh,
the best,
absolutely.
because Maleficent's not based off a drag queen.
Okay.
Anything that draws from Divine is I'm there
Perfect.
for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Christian, I'm glad we're on the same page for that one.
Yes.
Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock from Practical Magic. I adore that movie. It's just it's so fun, and it gives you like their characters just they have such characters, and I love them. And then The Witch from Vi, which is a Russian folktale type movie. And Marty, I saw your piece with Horror Retrospective, and I love that movie so much. It's just fantastic.
It's fucking nuts. It's brilliant.
It is. It's such a that's one of those movies that if you've not seen it, absolutely check it out, because it is just I agree, outside of the big bad reveal, it's so well put together on probably not that much of a budget. It's fantastic. So yeah, definitely worth a look.
Okay. Marty, your favorite witch character from TV and or movies?
Okay, so I got 2. The first one's kind of obscure. Tim Burton, Sleepy Hollow, Lady Van Tassel.
Oh yeah.
Miranda Richardson is brilliant. She's so sinister. It's like, yeah, this bitch is crazy enough to resurrect the dead Hessian without a head to get revenge. And the other one, and I'm probably going to be fucking stoned here, because I enjoyed it. A lot of people hated it. I loved her in WandaVision, but I thought she kicked arse in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. The Scarlet Witch.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say the same things.
Oh yeah,
so you're not alone.
She fucking slayed it in that, like just imbalanced.
She makes that movie.
She does.
Oh,
she
yeah,
does.
She does.
And it's thanks to a lot of people are annoyed. It's like, oh, the character shifted so radically from when she was in WandaVision. but it's at the same time she's mental because she made up her fake children and now she wants to bring her fake children into the fucking real world. So she doesn't care if she's to fucking turn Mr. Fantastic into spaghetti, or she doesn't care who she has to fucking destroy. And again, she's so psychotic and vicious, but she's so sympathetic at the same time. And Elizabeth Olsen does a fucking wonderful job in that role.
Awesome.
Oh yes, she does. All right, Sean, your favorite witch character from TV and or movies?
Well, since Marty stole one of mine, I'll have a couple others. I'll say Fiona in the American Horror Story Coven season. I mean, she's good in all, like the whole.
She's good in all that, but she was definitely good in that role.
Especially in, that was my favorite season of American's Horror Story, and she's just awesome. The one that you guys would never think probably. And I love horror, but I also can enjoy a good wholesome TV series with good values. Cassie Nightingale from The Good Witch, which is a Hallmark series.
Okay.
She's charming, she's beautiful, she's very subtle with her magic, and then the magic is always used for good, I like it.
Okay. Yeah.
No, don't be ashamed.
Like Sabrina.
Shame him.
Yes, I like
Shame him.
I like both versions of Sabrina. I like the Netflix one too.
Yeah, because I actually did enjoy the Netflix one. There's only one thing I didn't like what she did, and I think she did a cover of I forgot what one of Ella Cool J songs. I can't remember. No, it was not that. It was I forgot it was one of the rap songs today she did a cover for, and I thought it's like
Oh no, I need to see this now.
I wonder which one was it, Monty?
I think it was Rob Bass and Rob Bass. It takes two. I think she did a cover.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she did a cover on that. I was like, oh no.
I'll have to watch that. As an old hip hop head, I'll have to watch that.
Ooh, excellent choice, Full Moon.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I low-key love Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I actually like that movie. Works for me way more than Mary Poppins.
There's another one with I think it's Jimmy Stewart or Cary Grant. Kendall. Oh God, what is it? Kendall Bell and something else, but it's I think it's Kim Novak as well. It's kind of like romantic comedy, but it's also kind of
Bell Book and Candle.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
The cat's Pickwicket, and if I ever get like a Siamese cat, I want to name him Pickwicket.
That's a good name. That's a good name.
No, it's an excellent name.
No, obviously, just like Christian said, I love what outside of all the characters on Buffy, Willow has one of the greatest story arcs throughout the whole season. When she first comes on, she's like the typical nerd. Then eventually she becomes a witch, and then she has a relationship with the werewolf, and eventually she finds out that she's gay. She is one of the best characters, and I love the season where I love the end of the season after Tara gets killed when she turns evil. Yeah, and her and Buffy had that nice fight, and then when she finally understands, what happened. So definitely love Willow character. Let's see. Like I said, I did love the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which it was like a darker version of the Archie's character, which I always love. Always like to see characters that everyone thinks are wholesome, enjoy, and like to see a darker version of it. Yeah. So I actually did enjoy that particular part. Let's see. Of course, the witch from The Witch.
Grinding up some babies. Fuck them kids.
Can't get enough of Black Phillip.
I love Black Phillip.
Grinding up some babies. He's gonna eat a lot of babies.
Okay. That scene is horrifying. I mean,
I think it's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
You're a monster.
That's me. I'm a monster. Like, that's my witch hot take. I'm glad they all deserved exactly what happened to them. They were all terrible. Fuck that family, especially the kids.
Jesus, dude.
Mercy almost steals the movie.
Oh yeah.
All right. Now that we know that Universal made a poor decision with paying over $400 million, do you think Warner Brothers?
God damn.
And they might
Hot
not
take.
even make it to the next movie.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Actually,
Luckily, that is their worst decision ever. Clearly, they've never made any bad decisions before this.
No, not at all. Maybe still being corrupt.
and because this came up. This actually came up when I was watching Cody Leach's review of The Exorcist Believer, and he actually made a good point. Do you think Warner Brothers should have ever made a sequel to The Exorcist? We'll start with you, Triv.
Well, for my money, I mean, I like Exorcist 3 almost more than I do the original Exorcist. So, like, they had a good sequel. They didn't need another one.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
I like what Scott said.
How much did I went to Alan Princeton?
You know what? She
did go to a
deserves
good
it.
cause.
Yeah, I went to like an MFA fund for his school.
Yeah, no,
school
she
to
did.
work
She did the movie just a day. She donated all her salary to one of her
Yeah, good for her.
charities.
That
That's
was
cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Okay, Marty, do you think that Warner Brothers should ever actually try to make The Exorcist 2?
Fuck no.
I thought you liked the movie. Jesus.
I find the second one funny because I mean it's got fucking James Earl Jones spitting out fucking tomatoes for fuck's sake, and it's John Boorman obviously like got a big fucking bag of cocaine. He's like, okay,
Yes.
And that's the sad part of that because he was an Academy Award winner.
Oh, Boorman's a legend. I love Excalibur, but you know the dude was off his fucking tits on some substance when he made that movie. Like,
You had to be.
And he did have nice tits to start with.
I was thinking that.
but no, I'm to give a more clear-cut answer. I'm with Triv. We already got a fantastic sequel in Exorcist Legion. I'm calling it Legion because that's its original name. But
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was originally. It wasn't supposed to be an Exorcist sequel. It was supposed to be a totally standalone fucking movie. And then the Warner Brothers, whoever's like, oh, well, it's an Exorcist movie, slap it in there. So we already got that, and I don't think we need another one.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
God damn it, Moon.
I can't see.
The worst decision Warner Brothers ever made was locking those 3 kids in the water tower. God damn it, Moon. It's not time for Animaniacs yet. That's later.
It's always time for Animaniacs.
Okay, you know what? Fair enough.
Trev, how much of that 400 million do you think went to Linda Blair's chiropractors?
Oh God. Hopefully at least half, because pain and suffering on her end. Damn. Oof.
Yeah.
So let's see who I left off with. Marty.
Yeah.
All right, Jen Kristen. Do you think that Warner Brothers should have actually made a sequel to The Exorcist?
Sure, why not? I mean, you never know what it could be. Shit, it probably is going to be shit, but then you might get an Exorcist 3. So
see, that's the thing about it. Like, no, they should. The Exorcist is a perfect standalone film. There was no need for a continuation of its story.
I don't know what the fuck we're doing with the other 2 films.
Exorcist 2 is a fascinating oddity of its time, and I will always get a fucking humongous laugh out of the fact that critics, when it originally came out, at least some critics who were hard on the original Exorcist, doubled down over and gave Exorcist 2 loads of praise on its initial release. And then immediately doubled back down of like, no, never mind, you were lying. You were on high. You were high. And Exorcist 3 is low-key one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's an absolute masterpiece that completely succeeds the original Exorcist. But the other films, like the prequels, I know everyone says Exorcist 2 is the worst. The prequels are my pick for the worst. Both of those movies are fucking awful. Dominion.
Let me guess. It was the CGI wolves, right?
It wasn't even the CGI hyenas. Like, those didn't help. But like, Dominion has a okay idea at its core, but it's so goddamn dull. And then the beginning is just the most generic studio film. And you can kind of say the same thing for Believer, honestly. So no, The Exorcist didn't need a sequel, but I'm okay with it getting sequels just for the novelty of 2 and the masterpiece that is Exorcist 3.
You never know what you're gonna get.
You could every movie has a possibility to be good. It just comes out how the people behind it end up crafting it. Exorcist 2 and a lot of the other films weren't crafted that well. Exorcist 3, goddamn cinematic masterpiece. So there's potential.
What are we doing with the other 2 films?
I have no idea.
Does anybody know what we're doing?
If anybody cares.
No,
Not really.
exactly. Nobody cares.
But I mean, we got 2 more movies, and I'm just sitting here thinking, what the fuck are we doing?
I have an idea that I've told you, but that's a spoiler. So
They'll do the same thing they did with the Halloween trilogy. They have no idea what they're
They
gonna
have no idea. Exactly.
movie.
Jen, I got an idea. You could have a sequel to Legion, right? Do you remember Kinderman was talking about the fish in his bathtub? What if the demon went into the fish in the bathtub?
Oh shit!
And
We gotta exercise a fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to
Okay, let's do
piggyback.
it.
Yeah, just to piggyback off Martin, what you were saying. Yeah, because William P. Blakely, he did not want to do another Exorcist film. He wanted to be called Legion. But the studio Morgan Creek, like, you got to call this Exorcist. You got to call this Exorcist. It's got to be the Exorcist. Yeah. So that's how they got to change the Exorcist 3, because it wasn't supposed to be an actual exorcism in the 3rd act.
Yeah.
It was mainly just supposed to be a psychological horror film. But unfortunately, once again, the movie studio says, "Oh, we got to have an exorcism. We got to have exorcism. It's just called Exorcist. How can we have a movie called The Exorcist and not have an exorcism in it?"
I am glad.
The worst part of the movie.
I am glad they did that, because they finally released the cut, and it just ends with Kinderman coming in and shooting Brad Dourif in the fucking head and walking off, and they're like, "That's the most anticlimactic fucking thing I've ever seen."
No, yeah, because it's like you get this weird scene with when Father Lamont comes into the room, and he's not a character. We don't know that much about him, but because the movie studio had to have an exorcist in it, that's why the 3rd act kind of almost makes the film uneven. But because of the performances of George C. Scott and Brad Dourif, it doesn't ruin it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a masterpiece.
It's great.
Okay.
Right. Just real quick, random question. You hear so many people kind of talk down about Exorcist 3. Is it that section that makes it kind of like that makes it lose some of its punch? Because I was honestly hit more with that one than I was almost by the original Exorcist. Excuse me, the original Exorcist. Is that what did that?
For me, the exorcism is the weakest part of Exorcist 3, but I feel like, and it's kind of shifted now that people actually have seen a little bit more. A lot of the times when I heard people talk down on Exorcist 3, a lot of them, you could kind of tell they hadn't seen the movie, or at least seen the movie in full, because they would make these weird observations about the film that didn't make sense, at least in a lot of like the olden days. And now that people kind of like have actually gotten around to seeing the movie, I feel like people kind of recognize it a little bit more as being the masterpiece it is. But I feel like initially a lot of people were just like, well, it's a sequel to The Exorcist, so automatically it can't be good because that's one of the greatest horror films of all time. So why waste my time? I'm just going to write it off as something terrible.
I actually like the exorcism part of it.
Really?
Of the movie, yeah.
I like it too, but to me, it's the weakest part of the film.
I was watching part 3 with someone, and they were really in it. They were really getting into it. And then the scene where Kinderman's having a dream and Fabio turned up.
Fabio!
Like, what this shit? You did not watch the rest of the movie. I'm like, oh, give it a chance. Why is Fabio was in this thing?
Because he's Fabio. He's Fabio.
I'm Fabio. I have to.
He's an angel.
He's an angel. He's Fabio. That's all we need to know. Moving on.
Right.
Makes sense weirdly.
Yeah, it does, you know.
Okay.
I mean, where is Fabio today? Maybe he's still in the movie.
They never took him out of the harness. He's still hanging in the Warner Brothers studio to this day.
Guys,
somebody let me down.
All right, Danae. So, do you think Warner Brothers should ever have made The Exorcist 2?
Well, just to kind of echo Jen, why not? Before I used to be a non-believer of sequels and franchises, but after a couple of good ones came out, I became a person who was just like, if it's gonna happen, let it happen. It's not gonna take away from the first movie. Go for it. If you have the balls to do it and to tackle something like that, then go for it, and we'll see what you can do. But it's been so long since I've seen 2 and 3 that I can't really go into detail about those. But I do remember liking 3 a little bit more, I think, than most people, maybe even a little bit more than 1 as well, Triv. So, yeah. And again, like people are saying in the chat too, these people went on to do other things after The Exorcist. So this kind of let them show their talents a little bit more beyond the first movie. So I say the more art, the better. If it sucks, then it sucks. But there's always a chance that it could succeed. So why not?
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
And
yeah,
it's not going to take away the original Exorcist. It's not going to cancel it.
Yeah, that's always
Yeah.
something I hate
yeah.
about
I mean,
online discourse.
Linda
around,
Blair
like,
went on to did Hell Night.
Yeah, they went on to do Hell Night. But that's something I always hate about like discourse around like sequels or remakes or anything. Like, stop complaining or saying like it's raping my child or something. Shut the fuck up. You have your original movie and your memories attached to it. Let people attach themselves to a new product. Jesus Christ.
Like that one loudmouth bitch that was going on about bloodlines.
Yes, like that loudmouth bitch who wouldn't shut up about how bad Pet Sematary Bloodline was. Who could that be?
Uh-oh. You better stop swinging that blade around.
Clearly someone who knows how to handle the blade.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God, you
Oh
God,
I'm not cleaning that up.
I'm fine. It's good. It's all good.
You know what? It
wasn't
adds
worried about you. I was worried
ambiance,
about my
Dan.
floor.
Fair.
Yeah, you should check out Hell Night. It's a nice 80s slasher film.
It's all right.
It's fun.
I've grown on that movie.
Yeah.
Like a mold.
Some good gothic atmosphere too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sean, do you think that Warner Brothers should have actually did a sequel to The Exorcist?
Well, judging by how bad 2 is, I would say no. But yeah, why not? If someone else if they bring in a new director and a new story to bring something new to the table, I'm not against it. So, and obviously they got part 3, which so many people love. So, I'm okay with it.
I think that's the biggest problem with most of the sequels is they're too afraid to deviate from the original film. Because Exorcist 2 deviated so radically and had such backlash, but I feel like that's the problem with like the prequels and Believer is they're too afraid to deviate a little bit from the formula of the original movie.
I would agree with that. With a lot of films like
because
that.
like Exorcist 3 is a wildly different film, but still has that tie to the original film and still feels in tone with that original film.
Yeah, because to me, back during the 70s, sequels were not the thing. You had you had Godfather 2, you had The French Connection 2, and I can't think of you had Rocky 2. So sequels really wasn't a thing back in the 70s. At that time period, I think what happened was when Star Wars came out. And all of a sudden, everyone said, there has to be a sequel. And then Warner Brothers had the idea, let's make a sequel to The Exorcist. But when you take a look at The Exorcist, it's a one single contained story. And really nothing more you can do to that. And for some reason, Warner Brothers just got greedy and says, hey, we can make an Exorcist too. And unfortunately, it was so bad. And so, I mean, you wasn't going to live up to what The Exorcist did as far as the cultural impact the film had. But for a movie that was so high to begin with, and then you see a movie like The Exorcist 2, it's like, what the hell? And it's like it's such a complete drop off. I mean, just terrible. Just terrible. I know. Someone
said in the chat about because Linda Blair star in Exorcist 2 that she had. That's how she ended up in Women in Prison movies.
Yes, that's true. She's admitted as much that kind of Exorcist 2 fucking hurt that woman's career. And we wonder why she doesn't talk favorably about this franchise today.
Yeah, she definitely got typecast.
Yeah.
She got typecast, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, on a little lighter note, let's see. Which movie is better, Death Becomes Her or The Witches of Eastwick?
Okay.
All right, Sean.
Oh, Witches of Eastwick all day. I love that movie.
Ooh,
I mean,
okay.
Jack Nicholson as the devil. I mean, come on, he's born to play that role. And you know, I love the 3 lead women. You know, you got Cher, Susan Sarandon,
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Hey,
Michelle Pfeiffer, beautiful. I'm there for it.
It's like I don't even know you anymore.
You do it to us on purpose.
As long as it's not on porpoise.
I love that when he flips out in the church.
All right, DeRae, which one you like better, Death Becomes Her or The Witches of Eastwick?
I'll have to go with Death Becomes Her. That was another one that I watched over and over again. It was just perfectly creepy, and Bruce Willis is always so unrecognizable every time I watch this. I'm like, oh yeah, it's him every single time. And I actually only recently saw Witches of Eastwick not too long ago, and I liked it. It was a good time. I wish I would have seen it when I was a kid. But I don't know why or how I stumbled upon Death Becomes Her, but I just always was fascinated with Goldie Hawn with that gunshot through her body and Homegirl with her head just blanking everywhere. And the end is always just so much fun because I didn't really root for them. I knew they were going to suffer a really terrible demise, and we finally get to it, and it's just perfect. And I absolutely love Death Becomes Her.
Good people.
Our favorite Dice Be Rolling is in.
What's up?
Hey, Dice.
What's up, Dice?
Dice Be Rolling.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Death Becomes Her is.
It was just so sexy, you know, with the potion and the fingers and just everything. I just loved how sexy that movie is too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Isabella Rossellini. Or
Yes.
Is it Isabella Rossellini?
Yes,
Yes, it is.
Which,
Yeah. Tongue-tied tonight. Apologies.
That's okay.
I haven't seen a fall or a winter in centuries.
In centuries.
Yes.
Mhm. Marty, which one? Death Becomes Her or The Witches of Eastwick?
Oh, definitely Death Becomes Her, because it's like a classic tale of monkey's paw. It's like careful what you wish for, because it'll blow up in your fucking face, or your face will fall off, and you'll need someone to fucking stick it back on. Apparently, again, it's cool. It's the visual effects are fucking cool. I mean,
especially for the time.
Yeah,
yes.
like
they actually still kind of hold up today.
They do.
They do, yeah.
Trev, Death Becomes Her or The Witches of Eastwick?
Oh, absolutely, Death Becomes Her. That movie it is so cheeky and fun, and the parodies that you see made of it, especially like the Boulet Brothers, I adore it, top to bottom, front to back. And not to say Witches of Eastwick is a fantastically fun movie.
It is.
It's in a different league for me, and just that, like Marty said, it's a total monkey's paw, and it just, I don't know, to see 2 beautiful women go, well, we want to keep this beauty forever, and then they have to go. The last line about them having to go to the hardware store, I just love.
Do you remember where you parked the car?
So good.
Got that acrylic and that putty, you know, DeRae. I just imagine some like Wisconsin handyman going, "Oh yeah, I got what you need on the back. Let me go grab it, eh? Help yourself to the hot dish."
All right, Jen and Christian.
I have a hole in my stomach. It's a miracle.
Yeah, the one thing that we haven't talked about is definitely Bruce Willis. Like I everyone gives me a weird look, but this is probably my favorite Bruce Willis performance because he plays such against his usual type, and he's not a bad guy, but he's just whittled away by these two very strong and overbearing women. And I love this scene. He's like, the neighbors, Madeline, the neighbors. Have you seen a neighbor in California?
You know what they do to tiny,
Short.
balding, short Republicans in prison.
I'll get the shovels, dear.
I love Death Becomes Her. Death Becomes Her is one of my favorite '90s comedies. I've really grown to love it. I've loved it a long time, and then you started talking about it a bit more. I was like, oh yeah, that movie's great. And then we did the review last year. I was like, God damn it, this movie's fucking phenomenal.
Goldie Hawn or Matt?
I'm more of a Goldie Hawn type. I feel.
Gotcha.
I feel like, but I love, and like Triv said, I loved it when Dragula did the homage to it. I think it was last season.
Yeah.
I love Death Becomes Her. Not to diss on Witches of Eastwick. I love Cher. She's great in it, and the other ladies are also really good. Nicholson's pretty fun in the movie too, but Death Becomes Her is just one of those quintessential forgotten films of the 90s, in my opinion. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I would agree. I love Witches of Eastwick too. I did grow up with that movie, but there's some fun things. I can relate to Cher having such a fear of snakes. Like that's a really thing. But Death Becomes Her is just so much fun. And like the three main characters, all of the characters really, even the smaller characters.
Isabella Rossellini is the biggest mood any character has ever been for me in a movie.
Tom, Dick, Harry. It's just so good. I mean, if you love your camp, you just have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Dice said, they're both queer favorites for a reason. They're campy as hell. And
yeah, because I think that's one of the reasons why I really enjoyed Death Becomes Her, because when I first saw it, I really didn't know what the movie was about. And to see Susan Sarandon and Meryl Streep just literally beat each other up and then not die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually thought in the course, I have a hole.
In my stomach.
Because she shoots her, and then of course Bruce Willis, he freaks out, and next thing you know, she gets back up and she's got the hole in her stomach. I just cracked up laughing.
In a
gorgeous
really shot. I love the shot where it's just like her rising up in the thing. Like, it's a great use of digital effects. Like, it's the last it's the last good movie Zemeckis ever made, in my opinion.
It is true. And then when Goldie Hawn's sitting at her vanity and practicing, I can relate to this. Madeline, I must speak to Madeline at once. No. And then she'll do it again. I fucking love that. I don't know why I can relate to that for some reason.
I don't know. It's a great
and I will add, you guys brought up the like the visual effects. That was like watching of the behind the scenes of how they did that really kind of influenced me to want to do more of like that kind of stuff in my own way.
Absolutely.
Because it was so incredibly cool. Like they were talking about how Goldie Hawn, I think it was Goldie Hawn, had to walk up the stairs with the green like hood over her head, and then she had to walk up backwards so they could superimpose her head. And like her mom or someone
gets twisted around. So.
Yeah, exactly. And her like the day that she had to wear the hood, her mom or someone close to her was on set, and they were like, "You have such a gorgeous face, and like cover it up. What the hell is going on?"
So, question for the ladies: if you had the opportunity to remain youthful with this premise that they had in this film, would you go for it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this exact scenario, no, just because of how they end up. I don't want to be, a bunch of pieces at the bottom of a staircase. But if there was a graceful way to die, then possibly.
I wouldn't want to take it on forever, but definitely the idea of being able to keep your looks a little bit longer without having to go out like a bitch. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Exactly. Well said.
Oh, she went out like a bitch. Died of old age.
I mean, I figure I'm probably gonna die being hit by one of those ice cubes that forms on the side of a plane from all this stuff that gathers.
I'm glad I'm glad I'm not the only one who has that distinction. How I'll die.
I mean, it's
Marty's just gonna
eventful.
have his hands
You
wrapped
can
around
say
me.
in your epilogue, "Hey, I went out via this way."
Okay, there you go. But yeah, no, more of it. If you can do it more than the Isabella Rossellini, more than the Meryl Streep or Goldie Hawn way in the movie. But for Isabella Rossellini's way of things, yeah, probably, absolutely.
I feel it wouldn't be good for me because I feel you and Marty and probably a lot of other people would just want to kill me.
Eventually, yeah.
But
Eventually,
they can't.
but we can.
You can't.
Yeah,
Also, just because it's me, I'm like, hey guys, you want to see a cool party trick? Snap neck. I'm fine. I would absolutely do that.
Pay up $20.
Yeah, I would absolutely fuck with people. You
No,
did with-
50 at the at the
yeah,
very
50 at the
minimum.
least. I'm gonna kill myself for it, of course.
Interesting question that I thought this would be an interesting question right here. Why are possessed and exorcist films not as popular as slashers? DeRae.
Probably because, with slashers, it's something that's more easy to believe. You're going to have a lot more people understand and kind of feel what a person might be feeling in the lead role of a slasher. But with religious horror and exorcism movies, not a lot of people believe in Catholicism or religion in general. And so it's going to be easier to sell somebody a scary moment in a slasher that's based in reality than something that to some people is made up, doesn't exist, or to atheists, agnostics, and things like that. So definitely slasher is going to be something that people, I think, resonate more with, because they might even come from like a grocery store to their car to their house and feel like somebody's behind them when there absolutely isn't, but they're never going to feel like they're in the presence of evil, maybe. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because it amazes me because it's as much as we've seen slasher films throughout our time, they still make money. The David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy make money, and unfortunately, The Exorcist Believer, just you might as well say bombed at the box office. So that was an interesting question that I wanted to bring up, because it's like even some of the good Exorcist films still do not generate the type of money that slasher films do. All right, Sean, what do you think?
I have to agree with what you just said. And that's the thing when you're dealing with religion in films. It's such a touchy subject too, because people have so many different faiths that they might not buy into this. If it's just strictly dealing with like the Catholic faith, and like I said, slasher could be more believable because something like that can happen in real life.
All right, Jen, Christian.
Much like Chris Sedan said, you have got to have faith in order for it to work. You really do. And for some people, they do have faith. And I think for those people, I think the exorcism movies are terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. There's a reason why the Conjuring films are so successful. They cater to a specific audience.
But that audience, I think, as we get more, and I'm not, whatever gets you through this world,
but statistically, religious people identifying as any particular religion,
it's getting smaller.
Yes,
it's getting smaller and smaller. And like I said, whatever gets you through the world, fine by me. I'm not a particularly religious person, but with that token, I just think that like you gotta have faith, you gotta believe in it, and people just don't. And people are more science minded and like, where's the facts? Everything that's going on.
Yeah, it's not
as a superstitious time as it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's not as universal of a fear. Like, ask anyone on the street, what are you more scared of, getting possessed by a demon or getting attacked or killed by some random person on the side of the street, or that's shot up at your school or something? That's what anyone's going to say. Nobody's going to say, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to get possessed by a demon or something. That's not a common thing anyone would really say. So it's just not as reliable for a lot of people. Whereas a slasher film, that is just a constant fear of humanity. Is just like that constant wonder of like, no matter what walk of life you come from, like, well, I wonder if I walk in, what if I open my door and turns out somebody broke into my house and is going to stab me in my sleep or is hiding in my closet and going to kill me or something. Like, that's a constant thing. Everybody, no matter what walk of life or what background they come from, that thought has popped into your head at least once in your life.
One other thing, I don't mean to interrupt you, but one other thing, I think the reason why like The Last Exorcism works so well is because I really, and it's the movies that I'm really compelled to, is when we're mixing the psychological, like the demons are a metaphor for mental illness. Those really work for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's a better way than actual demons.
That's the other thing that really holds back the exorcism genre for me, is it's too afraid to really evolve or try new things a lot of the time. It will occasionally, but not as freely as the slasher genre will try. Slasher, you can mix all kinds of different subgenres or different ideas into that genre. Whereas with the exorcist genre, it's a lot more, they're all kind of the same movie at the end of the day. Person gets possessed. Person of some sort of faith comes in, tries to exorcise whatever entity's possessing them. It either works or it doesn't. End movie.
Or they get thrown out a window.
Yeah, there's some variation in that, but generally speaking, that's 90% of exorcism movies.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's not. There's what you've seen. If you've seen one really great exorcist movie, you're probably not going to be as impressed by another really good exorcist movie because it's probably the same movie done slightly worse, as opposed to a slasher film where it's such a wide genre. You can see two really great and masterfully done slasher films that are two wildly different films altogether. There's a massive difference between David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy and Netflix's Fear Street trilogy.
Yeah.
There's different tastes for any sort of person.
Yeah.
Then you do something like totally out of the whack, like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much variety you can do with the slasher genre. While I'm not as big into slashers as a lot of other people in the community are, there's so much variety and variation you can do with that genre a lot more easily than exorcism or a lot of other horror subgenres.
Like sticking a drug addict down a latrine in Sleepaway Camp 2.
Yes, exactly.
You've been a shitty friend and a shitty camper.
Oh, Sleepaway Camp 2.
I agree with you guys, what you guys said, but I also think that exorcism movies tend to be a bit more of a slow burn.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like you
that's
don't
a
get
good point,
that.
too.
Not that slashers are like instant gratification, but they tend to be, when you compare them to exorcism movies, I think you do definitely, it comes across as a hell of a lot more like gratifying than what you get from an exorcism movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes the action lacks. There's a ton of exposition as to what, as they're trying to figure out what it was that caused it. It requires a different kind of watching than what a slasher would in most cases.
That's a good point.
Absolutely.
Okay. Marty.
I think you've said it all, but like Jason Voorhees can murder people in 50 different fucking ways. There's only so many ways a little girl can get possessed. So, it's a safer bet for an audience.
But,
you're gonna watch.
How many has shoved a crucifix where the sun don't shine?
Exactly.
Well, I mean,
Oh boy. Yeah, it's just that you really can't do much in a possession exorcist film, even though you might try to put a little wrinkles there, like the Last Exorcism did, or the Taking of Deborah Logan, or the Exorcism of Emily Rose, where you actually try to do something a little bit different. But there's only so much you can do in those type of premises as opposed to slasher films. That's why I guess slasher films will always tend to make more money than those type of films.
Yeah.
Here's
one thing, though, there are people that believe in demonic possession.
Oh, yeah.
That it could happen,
Yeah. And the people that do believe it,
it's terrifying.
Yeah, it's a terrifying concept to them. Like I said, there's a reason why The Exorcist was so big back in its day, as well as why the Conjuring franchise is so big nowadays. They cater to a very specific audience, and that's why those movies turn such a massive profit. Because even people who aren't traditionally going to go see a horror movie, like say a Friday the 13th film or something, they'll go see a Conjuring film because, it kind of like plays into my faith, and I can go have a nice jovial scare, but I know everything will be all right because the characters have faith and stuff. It kind of reaffirms their faith in religion.
Good point.
Good point. Here's a good one. Which is the better comedy? The 1990 version of The Witches or Hocus Pocus? Brendan Justin. Jen and Christian.
Ren and Christian. All right. So what
Ren
do you
and
think?
Stimpy.
What do you think, Christian?
I'm Stimpy.
You idiot.
It really works for us,
It
doesn't
works.
it?
Hot take. Hocus Pocus is not a movie that means absolutely anything to me. That is a movie that I grew up in a weird point in time where Hocus Pocus had its fandom, but it wasn't really recognized as such a massive cult film that it is today. So like when seldom times I did watch Disney Channel, the things they were running were like the Halloween Town movies instead of, say, Hocus Pocus. So I have way more fondness for that instead of Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus is a cult movie? I never thought of it that.
I mean, Hocus Pocus bombed originally. Like, people forget that now, considering how massive. Yeah, it underperformed. Like, it didn't. It wasn't a massive failure, but it did not perform particularly well originally, and it grew up a cult following over the years.
It did. And see, I'm going to take an even hot take because I was a 90s kid. I grew up with this film. I never cared for it much either. I was like, it's fine. Bette Midler, cool. You know, I like Sarah Jessica Parker. Muck.
I love hearing about Sarah Jessica Parker like loving to doing the flying and broom thing, and she never wanted to come down from the apparatus because she was having so much fun doing it. Yeah, that's cool. But The Witches is a movie I also don't have a super lot of nostalgia for.
I like it better,
but I do like it a lot better just because I feel like it has a lot more bite to it and stuff like that. That movie is not afraid. Like, yes, it's intended for a younger audience, but it is not afraid to like freak some kids out and like show fucking some kids dying. Like, yeah, they're rat kids, but they still get squished and they're dead. They're dead as shit. And the practical effects work is so great. And Angelica Houston's performance as like the head witch, that would have been like a short runner for one of my favorite witches in movies. I love Angelica Houston in that movie. She's super great. She brings in a lot of her energy she had playing Morticia, but still brings a lot more of a sinister, like more animated version of the performance. It's really good. So my vote goes to The Witches.
Mine too, especially the unveiling when they take off all their regular stuff and then you see the ugly
those
witches.
Really cool practical effects they had on it. Yeah,
The Witches for me too. I don't really care for Hocus
I
Pocus.
Don't either.
I know that's hot.
Like if you put Halloween Town here, maybe I would have more of an argument. But yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right, DeRae, which one is better, The Witches, the 1990 version, or Hocus Pocus?
Well, as far as comedy goes, I would probably have to go with The Witches, but I did grow up with Hocus Pocus and liked it. You know, I liked Danny, the young girl, because she was also in Now and Then in those movies. You know, I just grew up just rewatching them because I liked those young girl characters that were close to my age. But I actually only recently saw The Witches as well, and I would have to say it's probably a funnier, better comedy because yes, we do get these kids dying and these bad things happening to them, and they're just brutal and ruthless with their hatred towards children. And it's just hilarious. We have like a baby stroller almost going off of a cliff, and you just don't see that kind of humor too much. And I love that kind of dark humor for kids. It's kind of weird how that worked out. So yeah, I love Hocus Pocus. I mean, I guess I don't love Hocus Pocus. I just have an affinity toward it. I watch it all the time, and it has a special place in my heart. And I'm a definite new fan of The Witches, but it's probably a bit funnier compared to Hocus Pocus for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, Marty, which one was funnier, Hocus Pocus or The Witches?
Okay, so here's the weird thing. I would probably say The Witches, but that movie, I was a huge Roald Dahl fan growing up, and I was a huge Roald Dahl fan growing up, and they really fucked the ending over because they gave it a happy ending because the thing is, in the end, he doesn't get changed back into a boy. And it kind of works out because he lived the same length as his grandmother, but they had to slap on the happy ending of a good witch, turning him human again and stuff. And I don't think you need to give, like, even if it is a kid's movie, you don't need to slap on a happy ending to that. The reason I might give it to Hocus Pocus, and he's in it. I went back and watched it not too long ago. And the reason I'm probably going to give it to Hocus Pocus is because of Doug Jones.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or
That's fair.
Doug Jones.
He's great.
He's not
in
in it as much as I thought he was, but yeah, I just love his performance in that movie, and it's just he's fun. It's fun. It's a fun movie. I love where they go into the dude's house. He's dressed as the devil. They think he's the fucking devil, and the one's like, "Who are these bitches?
Yeah.
Get them out of my house!" Like,
That's
you know?
great. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that.
I love that. So
Marshall.
I'm going to go with Hocus Pocus because I think Witches copped out in the end and ruined what it could have been a really good Roald Dahl adaptation.
Mhm.
Good choice.
That's
I
fair.
get that.
Sean.
I don't care about either one of them. It doesn't matter to me.
I hate it.
Whatever.
Bravo, Sean.
I
Bravo.
respect
I
you.
know
I guess.
my little nieces and nephews watch Hocus Pocus all the time. I'm just like, oh, come on.
Oh
I think that's the best answer I've heard tonight. I don't care.
I don't care about either one. Oh man, I had to do that one time. When my godson was young, I had to sit through some movie. But that's what you have to do when you're a parent or a godparent.
Yeah.
You have to sit through children's movies. All right, Triv, which one was funnier, The Witches or Hocus Pocus?
Well, pre Hocus Pocus 2, I'd probably say they were pretty even. Because I hadn't seen The Witches until I was an adult, so I don't have the nostalgia for it the way I did for Hocus Pocus. But Hocus Pocus 2 made me say, you know what? Outside of the Roomba being used as a broom, yeah, I can't. Totally goes to The Witches without a doubt. Like the whole stripping off all the stuff scene reminded me of what they did in the Trick or Treat with the werewolves. And I absolutely, I like to think that maybe inspired the werewolves, like that.
I honestly wondered that myself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, so yeah, without a doubt, because of the sequel, Witches gets it.
And are we getting another one?
Yeah, there's another one because 2 did gangbusters.
Is it? Shit, really?
Yep, we're getting the third
Damn
one,
it.
baby.
True. Why don't we go to the
No.
theater and hate it together?
Oh, dude, I am totally on board. I will hate riff this thing with you if you want to do that.
Okay.
I will make sure to go to
too
a
much. Triv, I would worry too much. How many more years can you get out of Bette Midler?
Oh, shit. I would be more worried about the horse face that is Sarah Jessica Parker. But
Ooh.
You won't need any
Vicious.
makeup.
Vicious.
yeah, they turn
Damn.
into the Death Becomes her Hocus Pocus.
Hey, just to throw this question, did anyone see the remake of The Witches with Anne Hathaway?
Yeah.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway, I mean, for what she
Yeah.
is, she's no Angelica Houston, but I thought that she did an okay job. The CGI effects that they did on the faces of the witches was
They were shit.
It was so
yeah, it was a
They-
thing.
They turned the fucking head witch into some kind of squid creature as well.
Well, I
Like,
mean, what else are you
yeah.
gonna do? I mean, Cthulhu is the latest greatest thing right now, so why would you not turn her into a squid creature?
No.
I mean,
Christ.
Bukaki, hey, go all out.
Roald Dahl is not turning in his grave. He's now fucking in a rotisserie.
Hey,
Because
he
the
can be
fucking
the
film was so bad.
perpetual energy generator, right?
I mean, given what we know about Roald Dahl as a person, I'm kind of okay with that.
Dude, did you know the whole Snozzberry thing apparently?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Not
kind of
gonna go
okay if
into
Roald
it.
Dahl's really angry in his grave. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, I kind of like The Witches. Yeah, I was, because unfortunately I was grown when The Witches came out, and it was okay, and really didn't care that much for Hocus Pocus. I'm kind of with Sean.
Oh, come
with that
on.
one.
Come on, Monty. We know the full well that you're a Bette Midler fan.
No, I was never a Bette Midler fan. No.
When she
Beaches
lifted
is
her
his favorite
skirt a
movie,
bit, I
Triv.
mean, you were on the floor going. "Brrr."
Ew.
I like the one where she played a twin with Lily Tomlin and what was it, Big Business or something when they
Oh, God.
when they met each other.
Nope.
Welcome to the Bette Midler stream.
What about beaches?
Let's get off Bette Midler.
All don't know if y'all guys seen this one. Did you? Who seen Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters? And did you hate it or like it?
I love that. It's. I fucking adore that movie. I love Tommy Brocola first of all because big Dod Snow fan. Love that movie. Have any of you guys seen Dead Snow?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yeah,
I heard it. I heard it was pretty good.
He
The
does
Nazi
weird
zombie movie.
Yes.
Yeah. He does weird fucking gory action. Again with Violent Night. The reason I love Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters is because it's a steampunk supernatural adventure, and it's the closest we're ever going to get to a big screen Terry Pratchett adaptation. That movie could be set.
You know what? You're not
in,
wrong.
In Terry Pratchett's Discworld. It's
You're not
fucking
wrong,
awesome. Rainier's awesome. Artisan's awesome. Famika Janssen's fucking cool as this fucking psychotic head witch.
Yeah, she's good
And-
in the movie.
And there's some funny lines. They're helped by this old guy, and he goes, "Oh, you got a shotgun? Yeah, you good with that? No, that's why I carry a shotgun. I'm a shoot shot. I just like that. So yeah, I think if you haven't seen it and you're a fan of Terry Pratchett, or if you're a big fuck off nerd like me and love tabletop kind of Warhammer tabletop. It's kind of like that as well. It's like 40K in some ways as well. So yeah, I adore that movie.
I see. Anyone else seen Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters?
I've seen it, but it was when it first came out. I remember enjoying it, but I can't really say more than like that. I barely remember it. But now that you remind me of like the steampunk and kind of being more familiar with Terry Pratchett, now I kind of do want to revisit it because I am a big Discworld fan. So yeah.
Oh yeah,
I remember liking it though.
Yeah, I can see that because I know I enjoyed the movie because it was a different take on witches, kind of like a different take on Hansel and Gretel too, and I like how they incorporated the fairy tale into that backstory. I thought Jeremy whatchamacallem and Emma Amberton were pretty good as Hansel and Gretel. Fanky Jensen was great as the bad witch. Some great, nice practical effects as well.
Yeah, I just watched it for this live stream and I had a good time with it. The effects were awesome. The acting was great. Not something that I would have probably put on myself. But I like what they did with it. I just really liked the creature, the troll guy, and yeah, all the killing and smashing of heads. That was
Yeah.
Drip, did you see it yet?
I have. It's been a hot minute. I remember kind of liking it, but I don't remember much beyond like having the general satisfaction of enjoying the movie. So I can't 100% comment beyond that. I apologize.
That's okay.
No problem.
What about you, Sean?
I thought it was fun, like for what it is, you know. I didn't think it was anything special, but it's one of those movies you watch once, you have a good time, and you're probably never gonna revisit it.
Probably, yeah. I don't see myself watching it again. Probably.
Yeah. I watch it every now and again.
Just fun kind of action horror, you know.
Yeah, I thought I saved this for the last question. What is your take on the depiction of witches in movies? Do you feel that Hollywood has given witches a bad name? All right, DeRae.
I mean, that's kind of why there aren't too many witch movies that like I would gravitate towards, because yeah, they do sometimes portray them as bad or evil or demonic in some way, or only doing bad magic. But like, you know, in Witch Hunter and in The Craft, we kind of get to see both good and bad, which is nice. But you know, a lot of these movies are going to take their own creative liberties and twist things and you know, use things to their advantage to try to make this much money instead of staying true to the art of witchcraft. And it's always going to happen, but there are going to be those good ones. Like another movie that I loved recently from 2022 is You Won't Be Alone. It's a horror film starring Numi Rapace, and that was just beautiful.
That was woof.
Yeah, that was a compliment, you know, to witches and things. So there's a right way to do it, and there are wrong ways to do it. But I wouldn't say they need to stop making movies about witchcraft because they're messing it up. But if you are a practicing witch or you're interested in it, you can definitely watch a movie. So I would hope watch a movie and be able to pick apart, you know, what's good and bad about it, and do your own research and things like that. So I don't think it's necessarily ruined it, but they do things that aren't good sometimes. So, but whatever. They do that with everything, you know, anything you can think of, they're going to do that with, whether it's science or technology, they're going to monk it up somehow one way or another. So,
I agree.
Yeah.
I think they screwed it up with the creator.
I haven't seen it.
So I've heard.
Did not hear some good things about that one. Although the premise was pretty interesting and the practical effects look fine, but it looks like the story is terrible. All right, Sean, what do you think about Hollywood's depiction of witches?
Well, I mean, it's not always accurate for sure.
No.
I do
Very
know
seldom.
a few people that are into the Wicca religion, and they certainly don't always get that part right.
No.
And a lot of the times they always associate, like you said, whether they're always portrayed as being evil, and you know, and a lot of times they're pictured as being like devil worship, and associating with devil worship, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not really what it's about. I mean, yeah, there's black magic, but there's not really supposed to be a devil in witchcraft. And they often associate the Baphomet with being the devil, but it's not really supposed to be. It's...
Balance instead.
Balance.
And there was a big controversy about that with the Sabrina show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they use the
statue.
They use the statue. Yes, yeah, no, it got some flack for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jen and Christian.
You're a more practicer. What do you say?
I grew up like I'm in a weird place because I had a mother who was a practicing Wiccan, and like I said, she never really shared. She never shoved it down my throat or anything. She shared if I asked. But I think for me, what I like, yes, they do get a lot of stuff wrong, and you can get a lot of misinformation. But if you want to go on to the positive side about it, is if you have, especially like now we have so much information. But if you have a little kid in a podunk town and you see one of these movies and they think there's something cool in it, then you are living in a time where you can go research it with Google or bookshops or places and talk to other people, and you can kind of get a better thing. So it could, like, even if you're in a very small religious town that might, you know, shun you, there are places and resources you can go, and Hollywood, for good or for bad, can kind of show you, kind of point you in the right direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
And stuff, and it might awaken, and like, yes, part of Hollywood is magical, and so like it kind of makes sense that we're going to make these magical movies, and like for a very young little child you could see this and go, oh, and then you could really put yourself on a religious path, maybe think something is cool and not be too deep into it, and then it'll point you in that direction, and then you can be very much involved in the practicings of it. So I think it's a good thing. Of course it could also do the other opposite, but I think it's more good than bad, even when we get bad representation.
It's interesting. I feel like it's a very mixed bag, and for the longest time in film, I would say it was mostly a negative, because it's all witches were for so commonly, like even in movies I love, like Hexen. I love Hexen from a filmmaking standpoint. Total propaganda piece, though. Yeah. Total propaganda piece. Like the other films like it, but like Swiss films such as The Craft, or even more contemporary films like The Craft Legacy, Perpetrator, Hellbender. Not a movie specifically about witchcraft, but movies centered around like practicing ritual and stuff. A Dark Song. Like a lot of these, you get like people who actually like know what they're talking about and want to incorporate their culture and their belief system into the art that they're making. And sure, they're spinning it up a little bit and changing things around a bit to be a little bit more fantastical and interesting for the masses to get to it. But it puts that in idea into their mind of like, that's a cool idea. I wonder what that's about. Like, even going back, one of my favorite examples of that actually is the original Warlock.
Yeah.
I love that movie does a lot of cool little things, and one of them that I really like is it actually gets an old piece of folklore correct, of like, you need the fat of a child in order to make a flying potion. That's a
that would be the one you love.
That's a plot point that's a plot point in Warlock, and then they did it again later on in the Vavitch. And I really like little movies can kind of, because I'm not someone who's like particularly of the faith or anything, but I love learning about like different cultures and different perspectives and different practices and different rituals for things. And that's something I really like about like witchcraft as it's represented in movies, is it kind of puts me on a path of like, okay, what can I learn from this? What can I go and do more research on? But I do feel like overall it has been for a long time until very recently a pretty negative depiction. But you could also chalk that up to Hollywood and the film industry was almost exclusively a boys' game for such a long time, and witchcraft is a incredibly like feminine
witches are girls.
Some but like Hollywood has been incredibly like misogynistic, and it's been a boys' club for so long, and now slowly but surely we're getting a little bit more positive depictions as more female creatives are coming into the space. And I kind of feel like there's a distinct correlation between those two, because a lot of those movies, sans The Craft, all the ones I mentioned, were directed and written by women.
Yeah, you're right.
But then some of the lighthearted ones get crap too, like Bewitched and Sabrina, and like
But again, it's like the glitter, like it's the fun part of it, like you know, and it might get someone interested. So like I don't even think that's a bad thing. Like, yes, it's not anything to do with anything, but it's fun. And if you can get much like the Bible thumpers, if you get your kids hooked, who cares how you do it?
I guess so, yeah.
We gotta dazzle you a little bit, sure.
Because if you go to like Salem, they have the statue of Samantha there, and then the people that are the hardcore witches like, this isn't accurate, this is like not right, you know. But so many people love it. They gather around, take pictures with her, you know.
Yeah.
It's fun.
One movie I wanted to mention real quick, and then I'll get off. But one thing shut up. Shut your Billy Bird mouth. One movie I actually really like. Speaking of Salem, I love the way the movie Paranorman handles it, because that's a movie set in Salem, and the main antagonist for that film is a like evil witch that's put a curse on the town and is rising the dead up to exact revenge. And then spoilers for the movie, but at the end you find out, oh, she was just an innocent like 7-year-old girl who was just learning how to like do herbal simple healing things, and she was wrongly killed. Like that's one thing I really like, is you can have those little touches in there to kind of give you more things. Sure, there's plenty of movies like Witchfinder General and stuff that's like very anti-witch and stuff, but then you have little movies like that are willing to like acknowledge the Salem witch trials were total bullshit and a complete spree of misogyny, just trying to and all that stuff, just trying to like kill women just because they were trying to speak up and actually plan midwives and stuff as something that men couldn't do.
Yeah.
And I like movies like Paranorman and other films that kind of incorporate that element into it.
Good points.
All right, Chib.
I kind of feel like witchcraft, like many other things when it comes to Hollywood, it kind of becomes that case of it's based on a true story, but like the truth of the story is like, oh, there was a doll and she moved slightly. You know, it's like it's so blown out of proportion. And the problem is that with any like big thing like that, there's a lot of people that look at anything that depicts any piece of history and says, oh, well, this is what happened, because they either don't have access to the resources, or they're not willing to look at the resources, or they look at a very like generalized version of what happened. And I think that's true. Like I'm not terribly familiar with witchcraft as a whole. Like my depictions of witchcraft as a kid and growing up were, you know, look at the things that you see. So like Ursula or Maleficent or, you know, whatever, you know, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, whatever it might be. But, you know, that what a thing is compared to how it's depicted by Hollywood is so different. And it's always going to be bombastic and stereotypical. I do like the fact that, like, you look at, we've talked about 90s ones like The Craft and Practical Magic and The Witches of Eastwick. You do see that it's not all devil inspired. There is a lot of like where it goes back to nature, which is a lot of what witchcraft seems to be for people. You know,
Yes,
that
it is.
you can worship, you can draw your power from the thing that you want to draw your power from. And whether that's, whatever it might be, it's that thing that separates it. And there are multiple depictions of those things. So I think, yes, Hollywood does do the stereotypical thing, but yes, also they do show, you just have to look for it more so, which is any true of any like depiction of anything. You have to look a little deeper to see beyond those stereotypes.
Mhm.
Like the conquistadors and Mel Gibson's art.
That fucking movie.
I love that movie, and we weren't there. We don't know that the conquistadors.
Marty, talk, please.
No,
I love that movie. I don't care.
Ban a fucking time. Like,
All right, Marty.
Hollywood's always played fast and loose, not only with folklore but with indigenous people's kind of beliefs.
Yeah.
So you're never going to get a fair portrayal of witches. I don't think. It's down to the audience. It's down to all people to go, hey, this ain't fucking like if you've got like Pocahontas, which in retrospect was really inappropriate and badly done. If you can't get a fucking kids cartoon to square up and do the right thing, you've no chance of doing a fucking horror movie getting a fair fucking shake for folklore. Again, as I was saying, with like Irish folklore in recent years, it's only kind of coming to the forefront. But it's down to people going, hey, actually, you got to check your sources. You got to be a lot more kind of scrutinous when it comes to this topic. And I think it's just down to the audience to call it out. If there's people who have like practiced kind of Wiccan rituals, they have to kind of go, hey, like, I'm going to find some friends. I'm going to make a movie that's an accurate depiction. It's not going to be fucking Hollywood. Honestly, I mean,
No.
if fucking Hollywood had their way, I'd still be fucking watching fucking Darby O'Gill drinking fucking pints of Guinness and poutine and shit. It's you have to. You have to. If you want to repair Hollywood, you got to do it yourself, and you got to know what.
And then watch with Irish Spring.
Yeah, but no, it's
conquistadors.
It's no, but it's Hollywood. Hollywood will never fucking. They say they're going to try and be all enlightened and shit, but that's all down to that. It has to be independent movie makers to fucking do the changes, not Hollywood.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because to me, when it comes to depicting witches, from the Wizard of Oz to what we have now, the Love Witch, their depiction of witches in whether it's that or Bewitched or the Sabrina, some of the other witches that have been on TV. And it's like their depiction of, I like the fact that they actually decided to put men as witches because men are known as witches too. That's why I like Warlock so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't have to be a woman all the time. And, that's what I really liked about Warlock. And so I think now we're seeing a bit of a change, just like you said, now that we see, because women are now portraying witches more than just what we've seen in the movies. And they don't have green skin and they don't ride on brooms.
Most don't, not anymore.
And they don't have crazy funky noses.
Yes.
The big pimple on them.
Big pimple on them. Yes, it's like this. I think it all depends upon, because of course Hollywood is driven. Movie studios are driven by the box office, but just like Marty said, you're going to have to depend on independent filmmakers, to get the right mythology right, to get the culture right, to get everything right. Because if you're going to make movies based on a culture or a religion, you should want to do your research and get it right. But unfortunately, that's probably not going to be Hollywood because of the movie. So just how much money we're going to make on that.
Yeah.
Exactly. But is it marketable to the lowest common denominator?
Yeah.
Conquistadors forever.
That's all great and all, but how do we turn a profit on this? That doesn't. They only care about that maybe when it's Oscar season, and even then, no.
The last question.
Ooh.
The Vitch.
The Vitch. That
The
bitch.
Vitch. The Vitch. Sean, have you seen the Vitch?
I have, and it's pretty effective in a lot of ways, but I find it hard to follow because of the they use that old world language. It's
The
like,
old,
"Ah,
yeah,
what
the
the
old
hell are they
English.
talking about?" So, like,
Hey, like a trip.
that makes it hard to watch for me. I don't know.
Sorry.
It's okay.
So you're shocked.
Forgive me. That was not a shock thing. That was just
Yeah.
my webcam got away from me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know that feeling.
Camp. I get it.
I thought she got the pictures I sent her. I privately sent her.
No. I'd be all smiles like.
See
Wee.
I can't
DeRae-
control my facial expressions. They were so lovely.
Thank you.
DeRae, what do you thought about The Witch?
I loved it. It's one of my favorite witch movies for sure. You don't really know what's going on. We just know that this young girl, Anya Taylor-Joy's character, is going through some shit that, they go through back in those days. They don't even have to do anything to be called a witch, and they're prosecuted for that. And it's a scary time, to live in that time, because they're accusing people and just so quickly, killing them. And it's just a crazy time. And so seeing her going through this and navigating through it, knowing that she's not a witch because she's not doing anything, she's just trying to live her life, and at the end getting to the point where she is basically joining her people. She actually is a witch, going to a coven. And it makes you think like, well, maybe she was feeling and thinking these things and not knowing she was contributing to this or to that. But if she wasn't, fine, but she at least is going to join a group of people who will be accepting and loving of her versus her own blood, who would just be so quick to throw her away. And it just, it's a trait of those people that they're fearful of witches, but witches are the more loving of the people. And I love that message.
Yeah.
Would you like to
Good
live
message.
deliciously? Jen Christian.
What I like about The Witch is, and I promise I'm not one of these people, but I can't help but think the parallels, like even though it's like Sean said, it's so far removed from our culture. Yet is it really? Because I think there's always been a fear of women for not just witchy women, just women,
especially ones who aren't needing the status quo, that want to do something else with their life. They don't want to become mothers. They want to do something else. They want to be healers. They want to have the same level of rights and power as a man.
Yeah, I can't help but notice the parallels, and also just finding your own place in the world. And and again, much like another favorite movie of mine, it's kind of parallels the woman in a weird way, because it's not the evil monster that you think is actually the evil monster. Turns out it's suit.
It's society.
Yeah, it's society, and there's a lot of parallels. And it's a great movie. I like it a lot. I enjoy it a lot. It's fun, and it's one of those movies you can consume and just surface level. But it's one of those onion movies where you can pull back the layers and really apply a lot of subtext.
Analyze it, especially looking at it from a historical context. Robert Eggers is an insane person that wants to make everything as accurate as possible at the time and incorporate all those kind of historical layers to his films, and he does it really well with The Witch. I love a lot of the little details, even down to a common theory a lot of people nowadays have for a partial explanation for why witch hunts and why people bought into it so much was a lot of the bread that they were eating. The grain was poisoned and literally kind of altering their minds a bit. They were all basically high on fucking drugs at that point in history, because they didn't know how to grow the grain properly on the land. So it was kind of fucking with their minds a little bit. So they would be more easily bought into the idea of oh yeah, witches are everywhere and out to get us and turn our babies into powder. We got to stop that and burn them. And also just rampant misogyny.
Well, The Crucible shows that too. To some
absolutely.
degree.
Absolutely.
That's actually another really good depiction.
That is another
It's a good movie.
But no, I really like The Witch. Honestly, I'm more of a Lighthouse girly if we're just talking about Robert Eggers movies. I adore that fucking flick. But The Witch is a really damn good film and a really good exploration of, like everyone said, the time period that it's set in, the culture around it, and talking about those themes of it's a very much a found family story. Story of turning your back on those that are your birth family, who think nothing of you, so you can go find actual happiness for yourself in people who support and love you. It's a very easy movie to add like a queer lens to it, and I always love movies that you can do that with. So absolutely, I love The Witch.
Right. What about you, Trip?
The isolation of it always hits me, and I can't say it's my absolute favorite kind of witch movie, but I really appreciate what it does. Robert Eggers, like you say, is fantastic.
Yes.
But yeah, the isolation of this family that's in the middle of nowhere. Even the closest settlement is literally in the middle of nowhere, and I don't think there are many movies that depict that as well as The Witch does.
Mm-hmm.
And Marty?
The Village tried.
God damn it, M. Night.
Yeah, that kind of failed hardcore.
Dude.
It did have William Hurt in it, though.
Dude, fucking imagine if the Witch at like the end when she's walking down the floors and she gets hit by a fucking car.
That would have been freaking hilarious. Also, Anna Taylor-Joy is like across the board such a great actress, and the kid that played Caleb, like he's not been in much, but genuinely impressed by his performance, because it's hard, like as a kid performer. Not to say there aren't good kid performers, but I think it is a challenge to be a really good, solid kid performer.
Yeah, no, because he does do a good job at the end, and for him to act that way and speak that way, you know, and maintain that speech, he really did a good job.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Marty?
It's an interesting kind of movie. I have a weird kind of take on the movie because I don't know if the witches actually exist in the movie. I have a theory that it's basically they're being punished for their piousness. They like how big of holy rollers do these fuckers have to be kicked out of the settlement? Again, this was probably a Puritan settlement, but these people were probably rubbing their piousness in people's faces, and they're like, "Get the fuck out of here." So they're left out in the elements, and they're like, "Oh, God will protect us." But it's, I don't know. I again, maybe in my head canon, they went out there and they're just dying horribly because they're too full of shit to realize. I'm not trying to fucking kind of be vulgar for the sake of it. They're just too pious, and they're like, "God will protect us. God will defend us." And you're like, you have to do the work. You're out here. You can't have your kids left out in the middle of the fucking forest and not expect something to happen. So I kind of think that like Anna Taylor-Joy's character is maybe the one who survives because she realizes she's common sense and she realizes I need to be rational with nature. That's the way I've always viewed the movie.
That's an interesting.
I've always enjoyed the Witch, mainly because of how accurate Roger Eggers got the way they spoke. Because a lot of people
the old Puritan English,
because a lot of people complain because of the way they talk, so you couldn't like, what the hell are they saying? But if you actually listen to what they're saying, but you do have to listen. Because if you miss anything, you're not going to get what they're saying. But that's why I really liked about The Witch, because he got the dialect down correctly, and of course,
an authentic feel.
Subtitles are your friend.
Yeah.
And
of course, Anna Taylor-Joy, she was fantastic. Because I think was that her first role.
It's the one she got noticed for.
Yeah, that's what she got noticed for.
Yeah,
got noticed for, and of course, can't get enough of Black Phillip. Would you like to live deliciously?
He's such a good boy. He gets all the apples.
Yeah, a good boy.
and Mercy, she was just like she just cracked me up. Anytime she talked, she would crack me up. I forget the other twin's name, but yeah, it's sad that her father's pride got in the way. Maybe he was pious, but his pride got in the way, and come to find out he couldn't do anything other than chop wood.
he's fucking useless. The most useless motherfucker.
You know what? They also did and regarded it obviously came before The Witch, but like the chopping wood thing was something that came up in the new the 2002 Amityville Horror as well.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds was chopping wood.
I mean, again, I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty freaking hot. So
Yeah, thank you.
And this is why Amityville 2002 is a better movie.
Ryan Reynolds, but the rest of it, the 70s one was much better.
I mean, you know.
Well,
But Ryan Reynolds
I prefer the
without
remake.
a shirt.
without a shirt.
Oh yeah, no, believe me. And low slung pants.
There you go. There you go.
Yay!
Just saying.
There you go.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Apologies.
I'm not.
Jen, are you ever sorry?
No.
No,
Good.
no.
Good. If you said otherwise, I would be disappointed.
I don't think so.
Good. Proud of you.
All right, guys. That was a great, lovely stream right there. Had a great time. Wanna, well, of course, thank our guest DeRae from rainbowFRIGHT for
Amazing
joining
guest.
us.
Awesome to have you.
Absolutely.
I hope we did not. Hope we did not embarrass you.
What
Never,
Monty is
never.
saying, he hopes I didn't embarrass anyone.
Candle King rules. It is horror. Hangout.
Definitely not. I had a really good time. Thank you so much again for having me. It was awesome.
Okay.
Yes.
Now DeRae.
We love you.
Now DeRae, when I host a stream, what I do is I give you a chance to shrill what's coming up on rainbowFRIGHT. So tell me what's coming up on your channel.
Yeah, so I'm in the middle of my 3rd annual Spooktober special. I just did a couple of lives on Sunday, and coming up, I should be putting out a recipe video, a spooky recipe video. It'll be my first video, not my first video involving food, but the first time, well, it isn't the first time that I'll be making something on camera, but my first video like this exactly that I'm doing. And then I've also, hopefully, I've got a vlog coming up, and also I've got a Saw franchise ranking video that should be live on Halloween. So
Oh,
hopefully
nice.
that coming.
When I see those whatchamacallit you put up on Instagram, and you make me hungry.
Yes, I love me some food. So I had to stick it in here for this month's special. Yeah.
All right, Marty, what's coming up on the Trash Picture Show?
I have a short kind of series for October called Halloween Hidden Gems, where I'm just picking out my favorite kind of what I consider underappreciated horror movies
the
or gore
one you
movies.
put up today was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm Madman. Not enough people see that one. And myself and the gorgeous Jen Mitchell on her channel, we're going to be reviewing a movie for her birthday as part of year 31 days. Orphan First Kill, right?
Yep. Excuse me while I go fuck my husband. You'll get that later, Marty.
That's one of the few good lines in that movie, though.
It's a great movie.
That movie has great lines.
Trib, what's coming up on the Trivia Theater?
I just did a collab on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from
That was
90.
awesome.
That was
oh,
brilliant.
well, appreciate it. Thank you. It was a lot of fun to do, and my co-riffer Crit is fantastic. So he made it awesome. So that was up. Hopefully next, depending I say hopefully next Monday, but I say that with a grain of salt that hopefully I can get it put up. But Vi is coming up next on my channel as a solo review. I've yet to figure out. It's a fantastically fun movie. But beyond that, I'm not 100% sure what's going to be up on Halloween, but there will be something up on Halloween. So
Yay.
All right.
I'm hoping
Jen?
to get Marty up on Halloween.
God damn it.
Oh, boy.
And then you killed the mic.
Hey, if you can't kill the mic during spooky month, what is the point of having a mic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Leave the mic
Give it
alone.
mouth-to-mouth
No.
resistance.
No.
Cut her mic off.
Cut her mic
Cut
off.
your mic off.
Oh my God, we're getting gory.
All right, Jen, Chris, what's coming up on Jen's Reviews from the Grave?
Damn it, the mic's back on. We are in the middle of our 31 days of Halloween, where we talk about a different horror movie every single day of October.
Today was Witches. It was Spellbinder.
Yeah, as a little tie-in, so this year's theme, we usually like to do a theme every year. This year, due to life kind of kicking us right in the ass, instead of doing like theme weeks, we're just doing grab bag, where we just talk about a bunch of random movies with no real correlation whatsoever. A lot lot of old, actually a lot of new, some old, but all kinds of stuff like that. And tomorrow we'll be talking all about the latest film from trans underground filmmaker Alice Mayo McKay with her second feature, the slasher film Bad Girl Boogie. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And Sunday I'll be talking.
And Sunday, you and Marty will be talking Orphan First Kill and Chucky and Creep Show somewhere in there as well.
Yeah.
And you guys have such fine asses. I mean,
Thank you.
Ooh, can I stand up?
No, no.
You are not wearing pants.
I don't know if you're
I
happy
mean,
or not.
it's like all the more reason to get up, Jen. I'm not gonna lie. I mean,
I know we joke, but we can't kill Monty's channel. That would be mean. That would feel
fine,
kind of bad.
okay. If we
off
can't kill his
stream.
channel,
Do it
yeah.
off
Okay.
stream.
Okay.
Damn it! Damn you, YouTube!
All right, Sean, what's coming on the horror corner?
I just did a review of Chopping Mall,
Nice.
Nice.
and
Your Halloween discussion was amazing, by the way, Sean. I loved
Yes.
it.
oh, thank you.
Yes.
It's really fun.
And oh, you never know when the dark fate's gonna come around.
Big fan,
yeah.
big fan.
So,
Yes. That's just like you never know when the miser is going to show
that
up. So,
motherfucker.
DeRae,
Open
DeRae, I
those
must
motherfuckers
warn you,
only
the
20.
miser's always around somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the miser is sexy when he pops up. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I know. But then I just love it when any man pops up.
Motherfucker
Hey, what?
owes me
What?
$20. God damn.
Perfect way to end the stream.
Yeah.
Perfect way.
I know.
That's cue stream end. Good night, everyone. Cue Animaniacs. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, so coming up on my channel, I just have the
I'm muting us again.
I have the review of it. It Lives Inside. I just saw that early this afternoon. Pretty good, interesting mythology. Deals with Indian mythology right there. And hopefully by next week, I'll probably have the I think it's called The Jester. I think it's called The Jester. I'll be watching that. Have that review up soon as well. Uh-oh.
Stop
You're
it! You
happy
killed
now
me.
you've killed Triv. You killed Triv.
Yay, we killed Triv.
Congratulations.
Oh man,
And then we die.
I missed that one.
Damn it, Jack. We're bad influence.
You can't take me to it right now.
It this happened the last time on the last stream that we had. They had this cracking up.
Fucking stop!
Possessed, even though I've got a full
You got Trib leaning.
He died later that
Anyway,
night.
sorry.
Oh well.
Monty, no, no disrespect at all. I apologize. I did the ones that. Yeah, I'm
Hey,
sorry.
look, I love when people laugh. I love when people laugh. It's always better to laugh than to be sad and frowning.
True.
Well said.
That's
All
why
right,
you're
guys.
awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Amen
Thank
to
you very
that.
much. All right. All right, people in the chat, thank you very much for joining us. I want to thank, of course, our guest, DeRae from rainbowFRIGHT, and everyone here.
Amazing guest.
Loved having you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Fantastic,
Please
yeah.
stay safe and always remember that horror
Horror
rules.
And happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy
Happy
Halloween.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Please have a safe and happy Halloween.
Woo!
And also stay safe out there, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Peace.
Penis.